this it?
We are Squawking Dead, a podcast polarizing programs beyond the Walking Dead universe. Sometimes we give you news, sometimes we make you laugh, most times we go deep. I'm your host, Dave Cameo, and I am joined by...
Me, Cosmomom09.
Blazy Gardner.
Bridget, you can find me at youtube.com/@punkybrewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETER.
And Karina of Etta Karina Art. You can find me on Instagram at CARINAE_D and Etta Karina Art and everything else.
And of course, we're here to talk to you, with you, about you, against you, outside you, inside you, about The Last of Us' season 2 finale titled Convergence. We have a bit of a housekeeping conundrum because we just came back from the camp this Memorial Day weekend in the United States of America, and I don't know about you, but I had a pretty damn good time. Which, such is the case every time we go to the camp. Essentially, we always have these concerns beforehand, and then all of a sudden they are melted away. But I wanted to get your read on the room. We should talk about the camp for a little while because I know that a lot of people were asking about it, and I wanted to know what you guys thought. What were your highlights and lowlights? Let's start in the order of our saying hellos. So, like, Rachel, how about you? What was your highlight? Well, forget the lowlights, just the highlight.
Just the highlight. The highlight of my weekend was obviously meeting Gino. Bridget was gracious enough to bless me with some tickets to his special effects demonstration, which was absolutely fantastic. And then afterwards, I somehow mustered up the courage to go talk to him at his table.
Now, what is his last name again?
Shut up.
No, it's an opportunity.
It wasn't how you said it.
No, it wasn't. But they, Adina.
Nadine Marissa?
Davina.
Oh.
I always say it wrong. Davina said Crognale.
Oh, Davina. Oh, who is Davina? Just for us, anybody out there.
Davina was his
handler,
person.
His agent person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
His official person. Yeah.
Does she know that she's saying it wrong?
I think she's saying it right. She knows him, so
it's not her fault.
If she were wrong, I think he would correct her. Don't you? Well, actually,
maybe he's just being nice.
Not. I don't know.
What is it about?
Dave's just saying, here's why she's wrong.
Here's why she's wrong.
No, it was incredibly validating to be able to watch him work and ask questions about his process, his products, what he was doing.
That you were doing things right.
That I was doing, that I'm doing things right in my own work. Yes. I mean, we use the same products, we use the same brands. So it was very validating to know, I got it right. I don't know why, but for some reason I thought we would be in a room full of other makeup artists, right? Like everyone is there for the same reasons I am. That was most definitely not the case. Everyone's asking what was it like to work with this person and that person? And I'm like, what brush are you using?
And why is that a good brush to do for that specific thing?
Why do you choose that brush? What are you diluting that with?
Asking real industry questions.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm 50% more into this chick with the pink hair, whom you introduce yourself to later.
No.
Oh.
But
Stranger Things.
I was asking all the right questions. Apparently, Davina found me later. I ran into her later, and she was very impressed with the questions I was asking. So,
Neo's the one that asks, before we continue, did anyone get the Camp Con flu? I hope not.
No, I'm good.
Karina, did you get it by proxy?
Yeah, I have a I woke up with a very today, so I did apparently.
Oh,
Oh
I have a
man,
cough, but it's from
life.
pre-convention sickness, which has never happened to me, but did this time.
It's a psychological. What is it called? Psychosomatic. Like you knew it was coming, so you just
Hi,
pre-did it.
Rob.
Just preemptively got sick.
Yeah.
No, it's real. It's real.
It's real.
Didn't know the camp had that ability. Rob Lucchese's in the chat
Mitchell
as well.
wasn't even there this year.
Bring me his
To
mutated
sleep in my bed and also get
Canadian
me
germs.
not sick. Weird. But Rob Lucchese, hi. Thanks for the shout out on TikTok. And he
Yes.
says he's watching the big screen, but commenting here, lol, hi guys.
Hi, Rob.
So, so Charity, highlight. You're on mute.
My highlight
Or no, you're not.
as with every camp is
Oh, she's gonna make me sound like
my
a jerk now.
highlight, as is always, is hanging out with you guys. Okay,
Of course.
Dang
we
it.
always, that's my main thing. But aside from that, it was hanging out and talking to Garrett,
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
just chit chatting with him for a little while.
Garrett Dillahunt from Fear the Walking Dead and Beyond as John Dory.
Garrett Dillahunt, yeah. My mom made him a Burt Chance doll, so I gave that to him, and we just, I thanked him again for always participating and donating to our benefits and stuff, and we just chatted a little bit. It was nice.
Just asking everybody else, this will be like cut, but are you seeing Charity come in delayed on your end?
I have an echo. She's echoey.
Oh, okay. Wondering. So basically the audience is going to see her a bit delayed, and actually I think she might be delayed by me. Oh, maybe she's sped up now. We'll see. Bridget, highlight.
Actually, one of my highlights is meeting people who listen to our podcast, because it's always like this really surreal thing where you're like, dude, why do you do that? But I was really thankful to meet Rob and his family in person. So thanks, Rob.
Rob Lucchese in the
really nice to meet
chat
you.
on Facebook, who has his own TikTok presence, whom I encourage you all to check out. And get cut off because I got distracted by Rob Matthews saying hello, whom I got in
Rob
touch with today.
Matthews.
I was happy to. And I'm happy to see you here. And as is the case, one of the things that happened when we met Rob Lucchese and his family, which is just great, because just so everybody else knows, I had already been following Rob on TikTok ahead of time, but then his wife had contacted me to follow Rob. And then I was doing the thing where I was checking. I was like, I'm already following this guy, but you're the sweetest. I'm going to follow you now because you're just incredible. And I hope you knew about that, Rob, by the way. But in addition to that, when we got there, Rob, he basically pulled us aside and he pulled a gun on us. And he said, sign it. And I said, excuse me, sir, what do you mean by sign it? I don't know what you mean. And he gave us a pen while holding us at gunpoint and said, sign this sticker that you just gave me. And I said, sir, you could have just asked nicely. And then we did, which is a real treat. Just to dovetail to Bridget's thing. He did not pull a gun on us, everybody. Obviously, I tell tall tales for a short person. So that was fun. That was a cute little thing that we did. I guess it's my turn. My highlight, which is pretty easy, actually, is the number one thing I did. The first thing I did, it's probably the only thing I like doing, is going up to Suki and going up to her vendor tables. Suki Martinson, who is an incredibly talented artist, whom you should check out, just like Karina. You should check her out as well. I'm being very aggressive about this, but you shouldn't. If you haven't, shame on you. And I'm going to pull a gun on you and make you sign it. And you pull a Rob Lucchese, who definitely did that to us when we signed that bumper sticker that we gave him. And you should visit Suki. And when I did, she and I, of course, walked the floor as we do. She gives out her own prints to the talent on the autograph alley area where people get their photo op, but not their photo ops, their selfies and their autographs. And she does this so that hopefully she can get them to sign things for them to give away or for her to get back so that she can give it away for charity for people like us when we have charities. She has a bunch of signed prints from these talents, and then she can contact people like us, not just us, but other people too, and hopefully raise money on behalf of many charities. And one of those people was Alana Masterson, who played Tara on The Walking Dead. And the best part about that for me was she started going off on the idea that, first of all, it's a crime. Rob Lucchese knows this, obviously, because part of his shtick on TikTok is to highlight his collection, and most of which is Funko Pops. Again, follow Rob Lucchese. I'll hold you by gunpoint. And the criminal thing is that Tara does not have a Funko Pop. Dog has 2 Funko Pops. But Tara Chambler on The Walking Dead does not have even 1. And so she started going off, obviously riffing. She's like, you know what? Why does Dog have 2 and I have none? And I said, not even a stick on a head on a stick for the pike seed. It's like not even that. It's like not even worth that. And we started going back and off, and Carl McKinnon has one. And she's just like, F that guy. And F that. I said, you know what? F that. I'm like, we're going back and forth saying F you to Carl McKinnon, who played, who did he play on the show? Richard, right. Richard has one. F that effing guy. And you know what? F the dog 2 times because he got 2 Funko Pops. And she and I were she was laughing hysterically at just us basically F-Uing Carl McKinnon in real life. She's like, and he's such a nice guy, but you know what? F that guy. And she's like, you know what? She grabs me by gunpoint, by the way. Also, what is with all the guns in Georgia?
I don't know.
I don't own a gun. I don't know the culture. And she says, take a selfie with me. And we took a bunch. And then Google Photos made a GIF out of one of them. I just wanted to say GIF.
Okay, Jandolph.
Exactly. See, Karina knows. And I want to just say, I'm so sorry that Karina wasn't there. And I wish she was, because it would have been great, because we like Karina.
That would have been fun, but I was at a barbecue, so I was still doing stuff.
But were you held by gunpoint?
Thankfully, no. No gunpoint.
Oh, thank goodness. This Memorial Day and gunpoint. What's happening in the United States?
I do not know.
Oh, my goodness. Mainly in Georgia. So Nia's the one who says, I'm going to go back to the chat really quickly, and then Bridget, I'll hand over the reins. But I go to a couple cons a year, and I get it like half the time. Nia's the one who gets the con flu. Rob Matthews says, hi. Rob Lucchese says, absolute pleasure meeting all of you too. Mm-hmm. That gun thing, though, man. Come on. You just have to ask nicely. Sharon says, hello. Rob Matthews says, good to see you all. Good to see you too, Rob Matthews. And Rob says, gonna frame the sticker and the gun. Laughing emoji. I mean, yeah, I should have signed the gun. Why didn't we sign the gun, guys?
That's what I thought you were saying at first. And
No,
I was like,
we
you pulled out a gun and it said, sign it. I was like, sign the gun.
No,
that seems like something you would do at a Walking Dead convention.
Very aggressive.
Like,
I should have told the story where his wife pulled out the gun and pulled us aside to sign the bumper sticker.
I actually was sitting here thinking, I didn't sign a gun. It was a
Anyway, anything else we want to add about the camp before we move on? Because Rachel had done some pretty cool events. The Glowy Okie emceeing, right? I guess that would be technically, yeah. And then the halfway to Halloween party, basically. Not without its pitfalls, which we went through extensively. If you want to find out more about that, we'll have a Discord channel dedicated to it. No, we won't. It's fine. It's fine, everybody. It's fine. Anything else?
I enjoyed seeing all of the creativity that people had in their costumes. It was a lot of fun seeing all the creative things people came up with. I know, like I was saying to Karina earlier, they had a group, the Relishing the Dead group did the production company. I just thought that was really clever and funny. Like each person was dressed up like a different person in the production company, and it was like they were filming the star walking in. I just thought that was really cute. And I loved the Hannibal Lecter and the nurse too. So
they were the best.
That was a lot of fun.
I'm glad they won too. That was pretty awesome.
Well, there were tons of votes that Rico and I had to go through. Just kidding.
Yeah.
we picked them.
Damn, I was just like, did I miss a whole chunk of that night
No.
where there was like rigorous debate
No.
over?
No, Rico and I stood there and went, well, who do you like? Who do you like? I like that one, and then that one, and then we
All right,
picked
then we
our
picked all of
favorites,
them.
and then we picked our favorites, and then pulled them up front, and then let everybody cheer for the winner.
And basically, almost everybody got equal amount of cheers.
The
Oh no, Hannibal Lecter was like
Well, yeah, he was
no,
the clear
there was
winner.
a lot of difference.
very clear.
Yeah.
What else?
The highlight of the Glowioki party was Rachel and Paola singing a song together, which was what, More Than Words? Isn't that what you guys did?
That was great.
And also the other highlight was Tom Payne doing Jump Around.
Holy crap.
Because boy did he
did.
get everybody pumped up.
It's so funny because when we heard him sing, I was like, A, I was just like, what is happening? But B, then I'm like, I'm an idiot because he and his wife are in a band. And I'm like, I just completely mind erased the fact that they are talented musicians and singers. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, it checks out. I guess, Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else? Rob Matthews says, hey, Punky, good to see you. Waves to you. Any other housekeeping? Oh, well, let's just say this, because in the interest of time, I posted a short and also social media clips about this. I said, because of the interest of time, we're actually going live tonight. Obviously, we went live for The Last of Us for the entire season 2, thank goodness. But in addition to that, we're going to be going live tomorrow? Question mark? Yeah, probably. Talking about The Walking Dead Dead City. Same time, same bat time, same YouTube channel. Talking about The Walking Dead Dead City's 4th episode of season 2, which I have not even gotten a chance to see. I'm sure most of you haven't either. Question mark? Mm-mm. Bridget says no and also coughs a lot. Just narrating. And so we're going to go live to discuss that too. And all this to say, actually, is that since we got a late start on The Walking Dead Dead City and we want to get these episodes out before Sunday, we're trying out something new. And that is, we're going to try to very minimally edit these 2 episodes. Bridget, you're getting me sick. No, it's not you. We're going to get these episodes minimally edited to get these out on time. The key here is what I'd like to do is see, and this is for the hardcore people listening, and this is mainly for podcast platforms. So I'm talking to you, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, CastBox, all the other podcast platforms. If you enjoy this over the lovingly and thoughtfully edited podcast that we've had for the past 7.5 years. At first, it was aggressively edited. I will admit that. But in the last few years, 4 or 5 years, they've been lovingly edited. If you prefer the unedited episodes largely, please, if you're listening to on whatever platform you're listening to, if there is a comment section, leave a comment saying you do or don't, actually. If I get 10 positive reviews of the unedited episodes, I will minimally edit these episodes. That will allow us to do a lot more. It'll, depending on how that works out, it could leave the door open to possibility in what we can do simultaneously. We could see how things go from there. I can have a life. That's great. I think that's great. What do you think? There are positives. And this is only if you like it. If you prefer the edited episodes, I am more than happy going back to that because what we want is what you want. Don't do this. Don't do me any favors. This is all for you. I do this out of love. So, again, wherever you're listening to, if they don't have a comment section or a review section, or, where you can put the 5 stars in the thing, go to ratethis.podcast.com/squawkingdead and say something nice at first. Obviously do the thing. You're going to do the thing. Then tell us, hey, I much prefer this unedited episode. It sounds great. And please do that from now on. And that'll be enough. So let us know. Rachel says, I feel like I saw a very good spread of a lot of characters. in response to, well, stuff.
Why'd you make me sound like that?
Because you're here. You could say it out loud. So what was that in response to? Rachel, you say it.
They, somebody asked if was there a Walking Dead cosplay people did the most,
Neo's the one,
and
right?
then Bridget said, in most years, Princess has been maybe the most popular, but this year I do feel like I
I'd say
saw
Daryl.
Daryl
Too.
a lot of different characters. I can't say I saw
Anyone
mostly
particular?
this or mostly that. Yeah, there was even somebody even dressed up like Stephanie
Yeah.
with the ice cream cones.
Hey, you know which costume I actually like the best?
Yes, that was so cute.
The Severance
Oh,
costume.
yes.
With
It
and
was
now that you
so
know
good.
it,
Yeah.
isn't that
Yeah.
great
It
that
was
you now
so
understand
good.
it, Rachel? Yeah,
Yeah.
Helly R and
Mark S.
Mark S. I was gonna say Scott. Adam S.
Adam S.
Mark Scout.
Wasn't the
Very
winner
clever.
of the cosplay contest
Yes.
someone who
I
dressed
didn't
up as
get
the
to
comic
see
book?
it, but I heard it was
I
very
can
impressive.
talk about it. I was there.
Oh yeah, Paola. Not Paola.
I was at the
Princess
cosplay.
comic book version.
No. She didn't win. She had a great costume.
Oh no, yeah, no.
The girl who won the cosplay competition was dressed as the final issue of The Walking Dead. So it just looked, when she walked in, she looked like a cereal box because, like, she had like,
It does kind of look like a Wheaties box, but like
yeah, it was just like a
Soviet
cereal box.
Russia Wheatie box.
Anyway, so it's like the front and then the back, and then she did like a spin, a la RuPaul's Drag Race, and then like opened up this comic book, and in it was a full dress that was black and white, the comic like print, and then it was inside of the box that she had made into the comic book. So it was just a really cool, very impressive costume, and she won.
As
And the
princess,
other person,
just to be clear, or
No.
who is she dressed as?
The
she
comic
was
book.
dressed as the comic book.
I saw a picture of it, so it makes sense to me. So even though I
Dave
wasn't
is
there,
really not getting it.
Yeah, but we have
She
to
was dressed
adapt. For
like
the-
a comic book.
as an issue of a comic book.
Okay, no, it was the dress thing that threw me off. Like, I thought she might have looked like somebody. Okay,
No, because you like open it and it's the comic inside.
okay.
Does that make sense?
You know, it was the dress
sense
thing.
to
Is
me.
there something about the dress? Was there anything particular about the dress? Just
No,
curious.
it was the print of the comic book. I feel like you're not understanding what I'm saying.
No.
It's
The
panels.
dress was
it's
made
panels.
out of the
Her
comic.
dress
the
was
comic
made
book.
out of Prince. That's all you
Yes.
have to say. I
Okay.
don't understand because you have to describe the things for the podcast audience.
I was.
You weren't. It just wasn't working.
I disagree.
Okay,
I think
anyway.
it was working
I
fine.
understand.
I was trying to mention the other costume that I thought was really cool, which was a Cherokee rose in a beer bottle, and that girl made that dress, and it was beautiful.
Now, is the Cherokee? I'm kidding. It's a joke. It's just calm down, everybody.
I
That was that
Was
was
I don't know. You might
is
have
her
asked.
dress the bottle? I'm kidding. It's fine.
Gosh.
It's fine. Everybody calm down.
Yes, it was actually.
but
What?
only the lower half. But don't say that out loud because then Dave will get really confused.
Wait, what? The lower half. Wait, is her head the Cherokee rose?
Oh, jeez.
Was it actually, or does she wear like a hat
have
with
a-
a flower?
You know what? I have a picture. I will send it to you.
No, I don't want it. It's fine.
Good.
He
My-
doesn't want to know.
My imagination ran wild. It's fine. I love it better.
gosh.
All right, read the chat.
Oh, that was very sudden.
It's very
Okay.
aggressive.
Oh my goodness.
Very
All right.
aggressive.
Gosh.
Rob Matthews says, I don't know about anyone else, but I started to find Daryl Dixon incredibly frustrating during season 9 of The Walking Dead, especially when he fell in the hole with Rick. Rob, I love you, but I am going to disagree with you because I am ride or die for Daryl. So, but I love you so much. I love you so much.
By the way, Rob, I felt the way you did at the time, but we talked about it on the podcast, which I suggest you listen to when we talked about that episode. My mind changed because you know what? That's what this podcast is all about. Because you talk about the struggle of wanting Carl's vision to be in fruition, but then you realize, well, especially after episode 5, which I hope you got into, that, yeah. Well, and we're about to sort of talk about it now, actually. What a convergence of ideas. Because is it worth the cost? Is it worth the price? We're continuing the episode title from the last episode, but yeah, if it's worth losing everyone in the pursuit, is it worth Carl's vision or Ellie's
I just
vision?
panicked so much. I thought you were saying that we were covering Dead City, and I was like, oh my God.
You had a Rachel moment.
I was like, oh my God, I'm not okay. I didn't watch that. Okay.
I'll tag onto this, Rob
Here.
Matthews. I suggest you watch. Well, first of all, keep watching The Walking Dead. I'm sure you've watched all of it, but anyway, watch The Walking Dead. Daryl Dixon, if you haven't already, because it just fleshes out Daryl's character so much more. You get such a better understanding of his character that you may never have gotten from the show because it's
Grunts a lot.
olive oil and yeah,
Olive
whatever.
Don't matter.
All right, big mad. Daryl's big mad all the time, right, Bridget? She shakes her head disapprovingly, but smiling. So I'm okay.
Sorry. I don't want to unmute too much because I keep having these sudden
Jags.
bursts of coughing. So I'm
Okay,
trying to
well,
refrain from doing that.
any other housekeeping that you can think of
No.
that we should
No,
bring
I
up?
don't think so.
Well, then, the time is nigh. Well, then, the time is nigh to discuss the title of this episode, which may get annoying because it's called Convergence. Did you know that?
I did.
I
Looking
did.
around the room. Oh, wow. Okay, everybody knows the
Did.
title.
I actually did.
Before
I
we talk,
made a note about it.
For once in my life.
slight divergence from the Convergence is that in the title sequence, it did go back to the single fungus. Going back to the title now. What does Convergence? How does Convergence relate to this episode, starting with Rachel?
Oh, well.
Always Rachel,
I
yeah.
mean, there's, of course, the obvious thing, right? Where, Ellie and Abby finally converge, right? Boom,
Yes.
nailed it.
Exactly.
She got
Careful with
this.
that gun.
Oh,
Well, no, not at
Bad
us.
boys. Holster those bad
Just
boys.
holster them. Come on with your finger guns. Oh my goodness. No,
see that little spin move?
we'll have a Rob Lucchese on our hands. Jeez Louise. All right. Shall we move on? Does anybody else have anything?
Nailed it.
That's it. There's nothing can beat it.
Yes.
I can
Yes.
beat it.
Jesse's convergence with Shimmer.
We finally get answers about Shimmer.
Oh God. All right, keep going. Everybody, what else?
Yes.
She's fine.
She's
In the
still
music
okay
store, listening to her records.
I don't
for
even-
now.
I don't care. Okay, keep going. I'm kidding. I actually okay. Okay,
Ellie
let me just step
converged
in
with the Seraphites.
because I agree. Actually, I was glad to hear that Shimmer was safe. Okay,
Yeah.
you got me. Fine.
It's okay to care about animals.
I don't wanna though. I don't wanna.
I don't know. It's like he feels like it makes him weak or
I'm a
something.
secret. I feel like I'm in like a human supremacist group, but I secretly have feelings for animals.
I'll tell you guys a little Easter egg.
Humans.
Yeah.
Human
supremacist.
supremacist group.
Yeah, this is
I
not the
was
first
not
time.
aware this exists.
That's what PPP is. It's people.
Where's my card? Where's my card? Passport.
It was revoked. They found out you cared about animals.
Oh no!
And they took it away.
Not Rufus from Fear the Walking Dead season 6.
How do you know it's not pets?
Pets. Oh no!
Oh, it's season 7. Anyway,
So I will say Shimmer's fate in the series is much better than her fate in the game. She gets blown up by a landmine in the game. Yeah, it's pretty
no.
awful.
you see, you had said something ominous about Shimmer in a prior episode, and I was like, that's why I was worried because I was like, oh my god. Well, and the day is still young. 'Cause- I mean,
Well,
not for
I mean,
this season, but maybe the one after.
The show isn't over yet, so
I would.
she
well,
can
I'm
still
sorry.
get blown up.
I'm
Thanks.
hoping,
Now I have something to look
considering
forward
the way this
to.
episode ended, like they're moving past the possibility of Shimmer getting hurt. So I mean, it's always possible, but I don't know why they would do that to us.
Oh, to delay gratification, quote unquote.
like it's a big part. It happens in like 2 seconds, and we forget about it in
I
the
hope
game
it does,
because
actually.
too much else is going on. Why? Shimmer does nothing but stand in the rain for them and carry them both halfway across the country. Like, what do you have against Shimmer?
That's all she
Dave.
does. Ugh. Well, no, I'm just saying. The feelings came. Anyway, what else on Convergence? And we'll go back to
I
the
don't
chat.
know if getting blown up or just getting left in a building by
She's
herself
alive,
forever
at
is
least.
worse.
She's got music. She's fine.
What about food? Well, she was snacking on the things. Well, who knows? And it's only been 3 days. She has plenty of food in there for 3 days so far.
Yeah, I'm sure she's fine.
Oh, awkward. Anything else on Convergence? And by the way,
Well-
Charity is coming in delayed on my end, which means it's delaying on the podcast. And you guys seem to be getting her on time. I'm not, actually, which is funny.
Yeah, I can. She's on time.
Mm.
I just have 2 of her.
All right, I'm just putting it in the ether.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Bridget. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say there was the convergence of the bullets with Owen and what's her name.
Oh, Mel. Yeah. The
Okay.
convergence of that was.
It was horrible.
That was
horrible,
rough.
and I hated it.
That was really rough.
I really hated it.
We can talk
Hello-
about how it was different.
Hello, Shannon, new here. Everyone say hi to
Hi.
Shannon from London,
Hi,
England.
Shannon.
Oh, hey,
Sorry to
Shannon.
interrupt. I'll give you a special shout
Hello,
out. We'll come back
Shannon.
to
Well,
the
and
comments.
what does she
Yes.
say, by the way?
She said post-apocalyptic
No,
series do
or
not like
doctors,
horses.
for that matter.
Yes.
Doctors, horses,
Um,
dogs.
We talked a whole lot about Sherry on Fear the Walking Dead and her problems with horses.
Season
Yeah, I don't know.
6.
Horses and doctors always seem to get the short end of the stick in the post-apocalypse.
Yeah, no kidding. Angelia also says, "Love you, Rachel, but it's taking everything not to post them pics. Ha ha ha. Why wouldn't you? Oh, well, maybe not. Maybe not. I was there. Well, at least the pictures didn't have the things we said, which was constantly, oh, what was it again?
What?
Hurt you, daddy. You know, like
Oh no, there was no video. It was just pictures.
just that's what I'm saying.
Video
Thank
would have been
goodness,
so much. Ooh, why didn't we take videos?
because we're not crazy. We're not that suicidal. Like that's evidence in a court of law.
Also, at the time, we didn't know whose phone it was, so
Right.
I was like, let's be semi-respectful. But if I knew it was you, we would have
Also,
been taking video because you would have
Angel,
loved
if
it.
you want to post those
Yeah.
photos of us, please do.
I
You have every
mean,
right.
Just tag each
Every
individual,
right.
including Bridget's
There's-
friend.
My favorite is
There's
the one where I'm
some.
like this.
Then
So,
tag-
like, whatever you want to do, just put them out there.
Yeah, tag our employers also.
Oh gosh.
Oh, I don't care.
That's fine. It's cool.
our
I already told them
employers?
today. I came into work and they said, well, "How was your vacation?" I said, "There's only one thing I can tell you, and that is hoochie daddy."
Hoochie daddy.
All right. Well, let's go to the chat.
Hi, Christy.
daddy.
Also new to the stream. I was trying to avoid the chat so we could keep on track, Dave.
Well,
Then Dave just kept reading it.
I could keep
and
on
he
track.
read all of it.
I didn't.
So let's just move on. Yeah, pretty much.
Well, then there you go. Okay, convergence also literally refers to the two storm fronts converging,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
interesting because
Superstorm, yeah.
yeah, exactly, making a superstorm, right. And one of the things I wanted to say about that was, well, we get the return of Sergeant Sergeant Park, right? Whom we saw in that flashback question mark. We don't know.
Yeah, how much of a flashback it was. Yeah.
We don't see Hanrahan. We don't know. There's
Yeah.
more than one prophet, apparently. There's more than
Apparently, yeah.
one? What? We'll talk about that. Well, convergence of prophets. What? Okay. Maybe there's more than one Seraphite group. What? I don't know. Anyway, so you see the WLF staging at a Costco of all places, which, good on them. She meets with Isaac Dixon, and she says, Melissa and Christy are saying the Stormfront's a convergence zone. And I looked it up, and it's a region in the atmosphere where two prevailing flows meet and interact, usually resulting in a distinctive weather conditions. So yeah, obviously storms, obviously hurricanes meeting, creating a crazy weather phenomenon. And she says it's going to get even bigger. What's your face, Rachel? Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. And what is that if not two things in this episode, at the very least, if not the entire second season? It's two forces converging, like the Seraphites and WLF. It's two protagonists, two female figures that have an equal-ish story converging at the end of the episode. So,
Yeah.
and they're both forces to be reckoned with. I don't know why I said it like that. So there's that. I think there was one more thing I wanted to mention in terms of convergence. Well, actually, I searched for the term. It is these two ideas butting heads, and it is greater responsibility for one's loved ones and personal satisfaction or individual pursuit, even, because that will show up hopefully in our breakdown, and which is more important. And you could say they have equal weight, and personal satisfaction does have a role in our lives. And there will be a point at which, in some of these instances, you'll see that, well, having personal agency can trump someone else's designs or a greater responsibility if it means losing your identity. Jesse lost the ability to have the love of his life, let's say, potentially, in service of his family. And she did the same. She went off. She didn't stay. She felt like she had to go with her family, so it was equal. But that came with a price. He sacrificed. Ellie didn't. There
There's
you
even
are.
that small scale, leaving the kid to be taken by a wolf.
Yeah.
You're trading off like your humanity and your compassion for others to save your own life. So it's I could see that kind of woven throughout the episode.
Yeah. And if there's no more convergences, I'd like to hit on one more evidence of that. What I contend, Isaac Dixon feels like, but I know isn't like, or I don't know, maybe, I don't know, the Joel figure for Abby. Feels like. However, the way he puts it is, rather than seeing Abby as special and wanting to give her a better life so that she can pursue her own path, whatever that may be, feels like what his version of that for her is to carry on his legacy, to be the leader that they so desperately need to carry on the fight. And it's like an opposite mirror, like seeing these two forces of nature converge. They both came from different sacrifices, let's say. One for the greater good and one for individual liberty, or, right? We can call it that. Individual agency, personal pursuits. So I think that's pretty interesting. They're both human tragedies. So, but does anybody disagree with that? Or did you get the feeling that Isaac Dixon to Abby was a different thing when he was sitting down talking with Sergeant Park? You in love with this old man? It's not weird that an old man and a girl
Right.
get together.
I understand what you're saying about like him feeling like a Joel. It did kind of feel that way, right? Like what is this personal connection to this young girl? And so I mean, yeah, it's fair to say, like, what are you, into her? Wouldn't be the first old
Like,
man.
what's going on?
Civilization's gone. There's no rules.
Yeah.
She's
Gross.
of age too, by the way.
Gross.
So it's like,
Yeah, still
Yeah, she's
gross. Still
but
gross.
still gross. Yeah.
But so I could see that kind of being the story that you're selling a little bit, I guess. But she had a Joel, and by that I mean a dad.
An actual dad.
And,
Yeah, she
Or
had
blood
her
dad.
actual father.
Blood dad,
yeah.
right, Rachel?
And-
Blood dad.
Blood dad, bio dad.
The flesh dad. Flesh dad? You're mute.
No, blood dad makes more sense.
Yeah, not flesh children, but blood
No,
dad.
flesh children also make sense, but most dads are made of flesh, so blood dad makes sense.
This is true.
Most dads are
Most
made of
dads.
flesh.
Most dads have blood.
I don't know about you, but
Most.
I had a ghost dad, so
Well, I do.
and by that I mean he wasn't around.
Oh, I was gonna say I do.
I feel that, Bridget.
currently. Wah, wah.
Wait, I'm sorry, I missed that. What was that?
I mean, how much older?
Yeah, Dead Dad's Club.
Oh,
Ooh,
never mind.
the club no one wants to be part of.
How much older? How much older than Ellie is Abby? Like, is she?
So
Was she pretty? So this
5
is a
years.
5-year time jump. So Ellie was what,
yeah,
14? How old was Abby at the
19.
time that her father was killed?
She was 19.
Was she still
Yeah.
very young? She was 19. I mean, if you're dealing with grief or whatever, then yes, Isaac could have been someone who stepped in as her father figure after her father was killed. Or did they meet? Did they meet with him later?
I think so. My opinion of it is obviously colored by my knowledge of the game and what we are going to see in season 3. Um, I think Isaac and the WLF are a replacement of the Fireflies and what that represented to Abby and her group, more so than a replacement of her father. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't there altogether. Like, he might have seemed like a father figure or, certainly a leader, but I think it's more a replacement of having a purpose for them because their purpose was taken away once the Fireflies disbanded. So I think they kind of just latched on to this new group as a new purpose.
That is so funny because not fun. It's not funny at all. but
I'm laughing because
but I'm laughing because it's also in Abby is what Ellie so desperately desires is purpose, and with
right.
and perhaps we'll find out in the next season. Maybe in Ellie is something that Abby so wishes she had, which is agency. Maybe.
I mean, you're not far off, certainly. When you get to see Abby's story, I think you will be very close. I think you are very close with that assessment.
I'm in the neighborhood. Am I in the neighborhood with Shimmer in it?
Probably. I mean, I don't know what
I know
happens
that
to Shimmer
means.
after this point. We're in uncharted territory.
Oh
with the
no! Now
horse,
she's
so.
backpedaling. It's like Shimmer's fate is not decided yet. The series isn't over. So landmine, ho.
Pretty sure she's probably fine if they haven't blown her up yet. It's not going to happen.
Right. We don't. But Dave, we don't know. We just don't know, Dave.
She made it past day 1. That's all I'm happy about.
True. I am too. I'll admit it. I don't know what my group is going to say about it, but when I get back, I don't know where we meet, but apparently it's online a little. Sometimes we have monthly meetups. The Human Supremacy group. Anyway.
Yeah, people.
I was looking at Rachel. She was like,
Gosh.
"What is he?"
People for people by people.
Right.
I'm like,
Formally.
warrior group.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah, and I think it's weird too. So
We call ourselves
people,
flesh.
people.
Okay. All right. Well, does anybody have any blah, 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 blah. Does anybody else have anything to say about that relationship? Abby to Ellie, Dixon to Joel, the vice versa, whatever.
every time you say Isaac Dixon, I get confused, and I'm like, who is that?
Yeah, it's just
Takes
Isaac.
a second. Takes a second every time.
You know, the WF leader guy.
Oops.
Oh, Miss Bridget. Anyway, sorry. It's a deep cut. Sorry, secret reference.
Is that a Daryl's brother we don't know yet?
That's what's
Yeah, is that another gravestone they're gonna find in France?
oh. Anyway, so
Uncle Isaac.
I can't.
that's another Dixon actually. I wonder. All right. Well, okay. Can I just say this actually because for an episode that is just pregnant with parallels and mirrors, I found that it felt like it went by fairly quickly in a sense that not much happens. Is that fair to say? Did you feel that too?
Yeah, event-wise, I think the things that did happen were big, but there wasn't a lot of, I guess, build up to them. Day 3 in the game is largely filled with traveling across flooded areas in a motorboat and, making your way to the aquarium. That's mostly what day 3 is. And then, of course, what happens in the theater afterwards. That's all of it. So as far as big events, it is one huge big event, but there's not a lot of actual story going on in day 3. So I'm not surprised that they added a few things, like Ellie coming in contact with the Seraphites, completely for the series only. That does not happen. When she gets knocked over in the boat in the wave, that happens in the game, but you just she's like, freak it, I'm just gonna swim the rest of the way, and that's what she does. She just swims to the aquarium after that. So the entire scene with Seraphites was added, and I think it's purely to give you something to be interested in for what the heck was going on that island, because that's part of Abby's story. So we'll figure it out.
Are we supposed to assume this is like a media literacy question, and maybe I missed it because I can't be perfect all the time. I'm gonna cough. I'm gonna cough. I can feel it.
Fine.
I was
like
waiting for you to argue with me.
It's kind of like a backdoor
You'd be
critique.
Like, no, you are perfect all the time. I'm just kidding. So, was it meant to, like, was that scene inserted to make you assume that the scenes with Isaac were happening right now?
Yeah.
Because that's how I felt.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it was meant
But
to...
then I was like, every other scene that we've had so far, we've thought was maybe a flashback. So it's like,
right.
Is this actually a flashback? And that was just put in there to, like, fool you.
No,
so
I
it
didn't
was...
think any of those was flashbacks, but go ahead.
Right. I didn't see it that way because I also know the timeline of the story of the game, which is those events with Isaac are happening at the same time on day 3. So that is a current event. So possibly they did insert those so that you would know that they were happening at the same time.
Well, and, and just the storm metaphor, you see the storm happening from Ellie's vantage point, so you're meant to think that, which again, so actually that's actually funny because it's why I thought the flashback with Hanrahan, again, who we haven't seen, was in the past. The setting was daytime. We don't have too much context of her in the present other than the flashback, which we originally received. So which is why my brain was a little confused. And now I completely think, I don't know what to think of her as a prophet at this point.
I know, me neither.
Oh, I just realized something. I'm sorry. It's not related to what you just said.
And it's not something you can say, probably.
No. It's something I can say because we've seen all of it. I just now, having played these games, who knows how many times, realized that Abby confronts and attacks Joel during a snowstorm, and Ellie confronts Owen and attacks Owen and Mel accidentally during a storm. Like, that's also a convergence of things that I just realized and did not even realize because the storm in day 3 has such a different connotation. It's masking the wolves' approach on the island. So, like, that's where you kind of think of it. But at the same time, something is happening with Ellie where she thinks she's about to confront Abby, but, she doesn't find her there. She finds somebody else.
Some heavy-handed symbolism there.
Right, well, which I didn't even notice until just now.
A storm doesn't make you think about bad things.
Right.
Well,
bad things happen in storms.
Talk about, I don't know if it's meta or whatever, but Jesse does say it out loud. You and me again in a storm. I forget what he actually says.
Yeah, that was weird.
You and me again in bad weather.
Yeah, thank you. I was going to look it up. Yep.
Interesting.
So, do you want to go to that screenshot now, then?
Yeah, if you have it and you can show it. Absolutely.
I can get it.
So it's a little bit of an Easter egg that I noticed for the gamers. The gamers. Which is very, very innocuous, I guess, for just regular viewers. You probably only noticed it as just, world building in a way. So I'll set it up. Ellie and Jesse are heading out to try and find Tommy. And there is, right after the scene where she says, oh, there's 2 of them now talking about the prophet. So this scene here, I'm so sorry for the quality if it's the one that I sent you.
No, I took a screenshot. It's fine.
Okay, good, because the one I had was terrible.
No, it was okay.
Yeah, so this crane that's fallen across the buildings here, that is something that happens to Abby on her day 2 adventure. So they're sort of foreshadowing that, I think, in this image here. So, and it would seem like nothing to people who don't know what's going on with Abby, but
well, that's
for me,
cool.
I thought it was a really cool, like, foreshadowing. They're doing a lot of that, actually, in this episode, the foreshadowing of what's going on in Abby's story. So showing Isaac, the scene with Isaac, Ellie getting intercepted by the Seraphites, 100% just to point you towards something that they're going to explain later. Because, as I said, that doesn't happen in the games. Also, there was another one, I wrote it down.
So wait, you went straight to that. So you're saying that wasn't in the games, but Ellie washing up on the shore and encountering the Seraphites and almost getting strung up and disemboweled.
Correct.
But
That
it's
is
meant to
not-
hopefully highlight something from the games. Is that?
It's actually very similar to something that happens to Abby. So I'm assuming, well, because of context clues, I don't know if anyone noticed that Abby has a rope burn on her neck when you see her at the very end. So that event does happen to Abby in the future.
I did not notice that.
Yes, she has a rope burn on her neck. Yes. So
Talk about exact
Yes.
mirror at that point.
I did notice, and it's gone because at the very end when you see her,
it
she
goes
does
back
not
to
have
day
it.
one. Yep.
When it's the flashback,
Yes.
and I was like,
Yes, she
yeah,
has
I
a
did
rope burn on
notice.
her
I
neck
did notice
because
that.
of a similar thing that happens to her. So it's slightly spoilery, but like they kind of already hinted at it. And then there was another thing that pointed to Abby's story.
Well, I wanted to show this in the meantime. Just to
Go ahead.
Are we going to talk about the two prophets? I don't know.
I mean, we can. I don't know what that's about.
All right, you know what? I'll
I
save
have
it for,
no answers.
I'll save it for later.
I
I'll
have
just
no answers
I'll
for
queue
you.
up these other screenshots I took.
Yeah.
I just want to say is kind of a side effect of watching this and Dead City at the same time, but when I saw the crane, it made me think of Herschel talking about the twisted bridge
yeah.
between the two buildings
That's
I
cool.
know what
Yeah.
you're
that
talking
had
about.
fallen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was what I thought about first because I noticed the crane falling too, but that was what it made me think about. And I know it's just because we're watching both both at the same time.
Well, even Dead City Season 1 had those elements of people zip lining across
Yeah,
buildings, so you have that
zip
kind of in
lining,
your
yep.
head if you're a Walking Dead lover, not a Walking Dead hater or fighter.
I did find my last note. So when Ellie is going through the aquarium and she comes through the room that has all like the remnants of the surgery that happened there, all the surgical instruments and the bloody rags and stuff like that, that's also a hint towards Abby's story. So they're hinting,
days.
they're foreshadowing a lot of Abby's quest and her 3 days. A lot happens to her, and she goes through a lot in those 3 days that Ellie's been searching for her. So I did like all of those little additions to kind of call forward in a way, or parallel if you think about it, because her story is happening concurrently with Ellie. We just don't get to see it yet.
Oh yeah, down to the, like you said, the whole, I did not notice the rope burns on Abby's neck, and I didn't even notice if Ellie had rope burns on her neck from having been
I didn't
almost
notice.
strung
I
up.
didn't pay attention to that either. I did notice she's wearing exactly the same clothes that she does in that last part of the scene, which I hadn't noticed before in the series, which I could. I mean, she could have been in the same stuff. I just didn't notice it. But I guess that scene is so pivotal. What she's wearing in it just has burned itself into my brain. So she's in the exact same outfit that Ellie in game was in.
Okay. Oh, and you know what? By the way, just to correct the record for those who are only listening on audio, the person who has posted all the set photos and prosthetics, her name is Anne Foley. I do show it on the videos on Spotify video, and not even on the live streams. Anne.Foley on Instagram. Just, I say that only because she had posted Ellie's wardrobe or concept art of what these people will wear before they get on set, and they have the side by side of concept versus them on set. It's kind of cool.
That's cool, yeah.
Which they modeled obviously from the game. Like they want to have these little visual beats of the characters from the game.
Yeah.
I want to. Can I jump to the? Well, you're not going to know when I say it, but Dina gives Ellie a bracelet of some kind.
I was going to mention that.
That's particularly
Jewish. I did not notice. I couldn't tell on the screen when I was watching it if it had the same symbol on there, but I did write down that it is that symbol in the game. So, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing it wrong. It's, what is it? That Hamsa hand?
Yeah, it's the Hamsa. Yeah, that's
Hamsa,
right.
okay. Yeah, so her protection, her little bracelet of protection. So we know that Dina is Jewish. Yeah.
Yeah, Anne Foley is the one who had the picture of Dina's bracelet, comparing it to the game and the show, and she made several of them. Just, obviously you make several props for an actor in case they break them, blah, blah,
Right.
during
Or
production.
one goes missing.
You have the hero one, you have the fake one. Yeah, I bet Isabella Merced took plenty of them. I'm Jewish, guys, I guess. But, well, actually, that's something I wanted to touch on because we had talked about, I think at the end of the first episode or somewhere in the middle of the first episode, whether or not they would actually get into any of that. And I'm actually not surprised because I said they probably wouldn't because of the limited episode run, that they really wouldn't get into her faith at all or background, let's say, aside from the story about her mom, which I'm glad they actually gave us at the end because you had said it prior to and probably in anticipation of not receiving that story.
Right.
So just to give you cover, I wouldn't have thought they would have gone through it already anyway. And she does it in town rather than on the road because I remember the context of you telling us that story about her mom.
Yeah, so she told a story about the mom in that, and there's also on day one when you're kind of set loose in the game to kind of just walk around on horseback and kind of explore and look for something. You go into a synagogue, and that they had set up as like a food distribution center in the QZ, the quarantine zone. So they had taken all of the interior like chairs or seating or whatever you would have in a synagogue and kind of gotten rid of all of that and put up like these barricades and things like that. But you can go upstairs and you find wow, my mind just went blank.
So
The scroll.
Oh, the Torah
the
scrolls.
Torah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I feel stupid.
That's okay.
They find
Jewish.
the Torah in there, and Ellie and Dina get to have just these short little conversations about Dina's faith and does she pray and all this other stuff. So I really like that part of the game because you get to just a little bit of a glimpse into Dina's spirituality and and Ellie also questioning because in season 1 when the kid gets infected and he's asking her like do you believe in God and do you believe in afterlife and stuff like that, and she's saying I'm not really sure, go back and forth. So we kind of now get Ellie questioning Dina because Dina seems very secure in her faith, where Ellie isn't, so she kind of doesn't have a footing that way. So like I said, I really like that scene, and I'm sad that we don't have it in the series, but I'm glad we still have the callback, especially with the bracelet,
right?
Protection bracelet. So.
And you saying that now, first of all, thank you for that because I can see why they wouldn't put that in the game in the show because it's like you could probably do it in short mentions, if that. But it just seems like it could be something that they could take out of the game. I like how they've been focusing on mirrors of the two groups and all the groups basically. But before we get to the Hamsa and like what that means, Rachel's raising her hand because I was going to say we're going to go to the chat. Can we go to the chat before we go to you, or is this directly in reference to, or if it's 8:00?
It's 8:00.
Oh, it's 8:00. All right, so let's say goodbye to Rachel, everybody.
I'm a pumpkin.
Well,
bye, Rachel.
Bye, Rachel.
Sad to lose you.
Sorry. I'm an old lady and I go to bed early.
Well, I'm glad that everybody came on to say hello.
Well, you also had
goodbye.
a super long drive yesterday.
I did, but I still got up at 4 and went to the gym this morning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, are you back to normal yet? And the body had...
Normal.
Never mind. Good night, Rachel.
No.
A better way to put that is, are you at your baseline?
Normal.
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant.
You leave normal out of it.
Yeah, I'm much more comfortable answering that question. Yes.
Okay.
All right. I love you guys.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Love you.
Bye.
Well,
To the chat.
Because we saw Christy Lucio. It was her first time here too.
Is that the last time?
Yeah, pretty much.
Anything was read? Okay. Well, no, there were things above that. No.
You said there wasn't anything more.
No. Rob Lucchese said, "Love the episode. Hate that I have to wait an uncertain amount of time for season 3," which is fair. Very fair.
Yeah.
And Neo said, blown up. But
No.
Shimmer, no.
I know.
Wait,
Says-
I'm
I
sorry.
mean,
That
thankfully.
it should have been more dramatic. No.
No!
And then what does he say?
Thankfully,
no.
it's not graphic. You don't see much of it.
Well,
It
unless
just
they
kinda
decide
gets
to show it. Well, for the
blown
show.
off the horse, and like the horse is like upset, and you can tell there's definitely something wrong. So,
My God.
but yes, blown up.
Horrible.
Unfortunately.
Well, then he says, if anything happens to Shimmer, we're coming after you, Dave, in my human supremacy group. I'm sorry, I couldn't stop it. Just wanted to dovetail it.
Yeah, you made me lose track of where I was. It's okay.
Shimmer, no.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. All right. Okay, so then Christy is here, and hi, Christy, and I said thanks for being here, but like seriously, thank you for being here. And then Shannon said there's
Oh.
so much hate about the season finale on The Last of Us. Hundreds of videos as well. And apparently Bella is suing anyone who makes fun of her "I'm gonna be a dad" line.
I did
Which
not hear about that.
Is
I didn't
wild.
either.
That's
I don't know
wild.
if that
Dave.
real? Is that real?
Uh,
We'll
seen
have to
that.
look that up.
I don't know. That's crazy.
I do not think that is true.
Yeah.
You can't sue people for making fun of a line on a show.
Also,
I mean, you
she-
can, but
You
it's
can
not
in-
gonna win.
In England, by
And
the way.
And she's also, I don't feel like she's the type that's going to do that.
No,
so.
she also left social media because she's tired of seeing like it's giving her a negative self-image of herself, seeing all this
Right.
negative stuff about herself. So she just left social media, which is the
Yes.
smartest, healthiest thing that she could have done.
Yes, it is.
And
But
I
I'm
still
gonna
get
I'm
frustrated.
gonna call some light BS on that claim. I don't believe that
Yeah.
whatsoever. That
Oh,
sounds
yeah.
like something that somebody started on the internet.
Yeah, and
Right.
I'll say, Shannon, to your point, really, we went through a significant awakening as a result of the last episode, because in seeing the flashback with Joel, it contextualized that line for Ellie. And it made that line so much cooler than it originally came off as. Which, I mean, we didn't mind to begin with. It just sounded like Ellie, like, oh, I'm going to be a dad. What a silly thing to say.
Right.
But then the last episode made it so much cooler than it was.
I
And-
really just want to say that people need to lay off of Bella Ramsey.
Yes.
She's an actor. She's playing a part that was written. She's not the one making these decisions.
we
She's
said it every episode.
right. I mean, it's you got people. You really need to stop. I mean, it is stop.
Yeah. And,
Stop.
you know, we can't keep litigating this every single episode, so I think we're going to move on from that point.
Yeah.
But I
mean,
appreciate your
I
comment,
agree.
Shannon. Is it Shannon or
Um,
Sharon? I missed
It's
it.
Shannon.
Thank you.
It is Shannon. Neo said, if anything happens to Shimmer, we're coming for you, Dave. See, Dave? I would have gotten to it.
No, I don't care.
Rob Lucasey said, did Ellie get captured briefly by Seraphites? We already discussed that, so I'm going to move on. Kayla says, hello. Hi, Kayla.
Hey, Kayla. Sorry I didn't get to see you at the camp. I saw you from a distance, and I knew you were there.
And then
Canadian.
Shannon says, you definitely can't sue anyone, but this was all over Twitter. I'm not sure if this was a rumor, but God knows if that's true.
Just because it's on Twitter also does not make it
Yeah.
true.
Yeah,
No. I think that's what Shannon is saying. She just read it online and she was sharing,
yeah.
which is an interesting
Yeah.
piece of information.
Yeah.
I
What-
often really like going on Twitter at the height of like craziness, because some of this stuff people say is so wild and so funny to me.
For entertainment
Um,
value.
Yeah.
There
Like
should be a
when-
disclaimer on Twitter for entertainment
like when
purposes
people got
only.
really
Right.
upset. Yeah, exactly. When people got really upset about Norman saying he wanted to film the Daryl Dixon spinoff in France, and then Melissa wasn't going to be on it.
Oh
people lost their
my
minds.
God.
And
We
that
talked
was
about
very,
that.
very funny to me. We've talked about it numerous times because it's one of my all-time favorite beefs on Twitter. Oh, second only to Kanye and Wiz Khalifa.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, because the Kanye Wiz Khalifa drama, just
Well, it's
so good.
It's more in the
So
popular
good.
zeitgeist too, if you think about it. Whereas the Norman Melissa thing and people making up wild, untrue stories about their personal lives. Oh, she's just jealous because Norman's wife is trying to get
Norman's
between them.
wife
Yeah.
I know.
that Melissa wasn't going. People, number one, they're
What's wrong with you?
They're
Let's
not a
No, we
couple
don't
in
need
real
to get
life.
into it. We don't need to
Anyway,
get into
you're
it.
right.
Let's move
You're
on.
right.
And you're welcome, Shannon. Girl, I got you. I got you.
Context is everything.
Yes.
Let's go back to the Hamsa bracelet, because Hamsa
Yes.
is technically an Aramaic word. There's Hamesh, which means 5 in Hebrew, and Hamse is in Arabic is 5. A lot of words in Hebrew and Arabic are from the same root, usually because Hebrew in modern Hebrew is derived largely from Aramaic, which even there's derivations of Arabic Aramaic and Hebrew Aramaic. Most modern words in Hebrew are from different languages, kind of like English too, in a sense. Bottom line, it's from the Aramaic of 5, symbolizing the 5 books of Moses, aka the Old Testament. And the hand is deliberately drawn to be an open palm, because that's why the sides are curled out at the ends, meaning to receive the gift of the 5 books of Moses, and the five fingers, 5 books, and that to remember that this is a privilege, that you've been given this gift, and that when you're out in the world and you look at this, just remember that to act accordingly, and that this was given to you. This wasn't forced upon you. This was open hand. This is a gift. Mm-hmm. But what's often found in a Hamsa is the evil eye, right? The little eye in the center. Mm-hmm. Now, the evil eye wards off the evil eye, which in plain terms it wards off evil. Well, yes, but the way in which it wards off evil is it reminds you to not have negative thoughts towards others, and for others not to have negative thoughts towards you, because there's a big kind of Kabbalistic or spiritualistic belief that when you have bad thoughts towards someone, they can manifest, especially the harder you believe. It's kind of like if you have your inner desire to have something happen, and why I even say this, why I even go into this. Well, who cares, Dave? Who the hell cares? Well, I'll tell you why you should care. Because if you want something badly enough, you might just get it. But you might also get other things that you don't want, that you never thought you would have wanted, that you didn't think of not wanting. And that happens in this episode. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
Do you mean like how Ellie desperately wanted to find Abby, and she found her? But, the cost of finding that,
Yeah, the worst part about it was that Abby found her.
Yeah, exactly. She didn't even find Abby. They were going to leave, but no.
The Lord delivered Abby in a package.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Because I don't want it to be true. And I'm a big believer in no one's gone until they're gone.
Are you a big believer in that, Bridget?
They're gone.
Are you a big believer?
To hold on to it. I like to hold on to it.
I see.
For TVs. It's TVs for TV shows is what I meant to say.
For TVs.
Is Jesse dead? Are we to believe that Jesse is dead?
Jesse's dead. I'm so sorry. Yes, he got shot in the face.
And we never got to sing Jesse's Girl, because...
I know. It's sad. And it's so quick and unceremonious, too. And it happens exactly the same way in the game. He just runs through the door and he's gone. Yep. Run through the door and he's gone, because Abby shoots him right.
And I didn't like that it was like just at that moment they had
I know.
I would burn the world for you to save you.
Yeah.
I love that you brought up no one's gone until they're gone, because when Abby walked out on the ledge at the end of the episode in the before and
oh
the
my
day
god
one, I was like, stadium.
Right.
Stadium.
I didn't put that together, but yes, 100%.
Right.
Yeah, for those missing context, Madison Clark in season 4 of Fear the Walking Dead looks out upon, what is it called? Not the Diamond. Well, they call it the Diamond. It's a baseball stadium in which they're residing.
Alicia opens the curtains in her room and looks out over the stadium, and I was like, man, it was almost the exact same thing.
Yep.
Right. I forget what that was called. Yeah. What was called the Diamond? What was the team called?
The Armadillos.
Yeah. Well, in the doesn't matter. But yes.
Yes.
I also, in that scene, she's reading a book called City of Thieves, and
Yeah, I
I
looked it
found
up
out
too.
something very interesting about that book. It is written by David Benioff, who is one of the showrunners of Game of Thrones. And
Well,
Craig Mazin said that it was one of his inspirations for the game was this book, City of Thieves.
Oh wow.
And it's a cool little tie-in because we have Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, who were also on
Game of
Game of
Thrones.
Thrones. Yeah,
That's
I just thought that
cool.
was a neat little tie-in. I also read what the book was about, but I didn't see a whole lot of. Well, maybe like to season one because it's about two boys who are sent. They're set during Nazi Germany, and two Jewish boy and a Russian boy are sent to find eggs
Right.
for this higher up guy's daughter's birthday, and they have like a road trip kind of thing where they run into all these different problems. So
Oh, behind
I,
enemy lines. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Well,
Okay.
just to give you a little bit more of meat on those bones, on the show, the book's title, first of all, the book title and the author are disambiguated. So on the show, the title of the book is called Thieves of the City. Meanwhile, the book is called City of Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
The author's name in the fake book is called Ben Davidoff. And in real life, it's David Benioff. So I thought that was cute, like tongue in cheek, Craig Mazin, very nice. Also licensing.
Right.
Also, you were in the background of that last episode. However, I did mention this at the end of that last episode. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, this is going to be exclusive for you. In the published version of the show, they re-released it and CGI foliaged over the person that was in the background of that scene. I
That's
did
hilarious.
include the screen cap that we got from the screeners because they didn't erase it from there. So
Right. That's funny.
I included that in the clip for which will eventually come out because I'm way behind. And also for Spotify video, you got to see that there as well. So I thought that was kind of cool. But anyway, going back to the book, I'm going to the Independent actually for the reference of this book. The book on Abby's Lap is titled "Thieves of the City" by Ben Davidoff. It's a fictional title and a play on David Benioff's 2008 book City of Thieves, a World War II coming-of-age novel set during the siege of Leningrad. And just to touch on that a little bit, the plot is, like Sharon said, it was a fictional novel, coming-of-age story set in World War II, Siege of Leningrad. It follows the adventures of two youths as they desperately search for a dozen eggs at the behest of a Soviet NKVD officer, a task that takes them far behind enemy lines. It was released by Plume on May 15th, 2008. The audiobook is narrated by Fallout's narrator, Ron Perlman.
Wow.
Released by Penguin Audio on January 8th, 2009. I thought that was a cool tidbit of information.
Yeah.
One of the characters is named Lev. So I throw that out there because
That's an Easter egg.
I don't know if we'll get that anymore.
We are, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, in season 3. You know how I know? Because they included the scene of her finding the bloody rags and stuff like that, and it's connected to that part of Abby's story. So yeah, for sure we're gonna get that character.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's
Yeah.
very interesting. Okay, fine. I'm so sorry. I thought she was of a different faction. See, this is what happens when you shoot from the hip.
He.
Pew, 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 pew. Oh, Lev he.
Boy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
so
but-
then her.
Put those away.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Oh
Finger
God, I want
guns.
to pull a Rob Lucchese
Yes,
again.
Rob.
Oof. Should have
But
learned my
that's
lesson
what I
the
was
first
saying.
time.
Like, there are so many characters in Abby's story that I love so much, including Lev, that I was so hoping we would get, and we will, next season, indeterminate amount of time. We'll get those characters eventually.
Yeah. Well, it's just to kind of go back to Rob's comment on waiting for season 3. I'm actually okay. I feel like I'm going to touch on this, and hopefully we'll go away really quickly. But there were parts in this episode that actually made me mad.
Why?
Very
What parts?
mad.
You have to elaborate.
But it's not a bad thing. It's just a thing, which makes it easier for me to go, I can wait. I can wait till the next season.
What made you mad?
Well, as a matter of fact, this is something that kind of appears in the shows that we cover. And that is, we talked about Daryl Dixon and Carol Pelletier on The Walking Dead. What was my major frustration with Carol's character in The Walking Dead Season 10? Can you guess? The pursuit towards Alpha at the cost of people who are alive.
Oh yeah, the like unrelenting seeking, the unrelenting vengeance.
Plot, right? The
Yeah.
seeking of vengeance for personal satisfaction. Well, and I get it. I get it. The desire to burn the world on behalf of the people you love or the people you lost, right? The people you love who are still here and the people you lost who are gone. I get that. Who doesn't? It's the whole point of the show. However, when Ellie, just to take it back to Ellie in this moment, Jesse and Ellie are at the top. They see that Tommy is firing a sniper rifle. We don't know why. We'll find out in season 3. But Ellie is like, but that's where Abby is. Abby, the wheel. What? It's the aquarium.
Wheel.
Okay. Well then, my deal is that really put a bad taste in my mouth because that's Uncle Tommy. And that really bothered me. Wow, what am I getting emotional a little bit? Oof. She was willing to, at that moment, because I get it. Sometimes that flashes like, oh, we'll never get another chance. Oh, I get that. I get that. But when Jesse calmly explained to her, that's Tommy. He needs us, right? He's alive. How would you feel if us not going there might have been the very thing that would have saved him? Turns out that he's fine anyway. That's fine. But that idea that you would sacrifice even a little, the little chance that you have of the living, the people that you actually still love and care for a chance at getting it back at somebody who wronged you. In this world, that
Dave,
that
I have
bothered me.
such bad news for you. That's kind of the lesson in this story for Ellie. Like, she keeps making this decision to relentlessly go after this revenge.
Well, I saw the end of the episode.
At the cost. Not even just that, but even further down in the story, we still see her making this same choice over and over and over again. And it's like, so frustrating to watch her do it, especially as a gamer playing the game, because you don't get to control her mental decision-making process. You only control her physical actions. So to watch her continually, and it's worse in the game. It is so much worse how driven and focused she is, because even to the point of, in the series, they have made her a lot more caring to her friends and the people she loves, even to the point of revealing what Joel did to Dina in the game. She does not tell anyone what Joel did. They never discuss it. She keeps it a secret because she knows that if they knew what Joel did, that they would immediately not be part of this anymore.
Which is what Dina kind of says. When you said Joel did to Dina, I'm like, did I miss something? Did Joel do something to Dina?
No,
it's the way it was phrased.
Sorry,
I was like,
I misworded that.
Sorry. No,
and
you didn't.
Yeah, she
no,
didn't
you worded that perfectly.
Yeah,
it's fine.
She doesn't reveal what Joel did to the Fireflies,
right,
to Dina or anyone else.
Thank
and
you.
At least in the series, she does make that clear. And of course, Dina's like, we got to go home right now.
Yeah,
because if I had known this from the start, I never would have done this, kind of, in so many words.
And what does Ellie do? What does Ellie say immediately to that? I was like, I agree. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something else she, in the game, never does. She never agrees to go home. The line when they're all gathered together, Tommy and Jesse, and Dina's asleep, but, Tommy, Jesse, and her, and she's sitting on the edge, and they're like, we're going to take this route home or whatever. And she's like, but Abby just gets to live. And Tommy's like, are you okay with that? And he's like,
can you live with that?
Okay. Yeah, can you live with that? It's like, I'm gonna have to. And in game as well, you have to remember that Tommy is the one who went first to get this revenge, and they were going after to find him. So once they found him, their mission was technically over, so that they were going to leave. But of course, Ellie was also wanting to get revenge on Abby, and all the other sacrifices that Ellie made, or how should I say, going through Abby's list of friends wasn't really part of the plan. She only ever wanted Abby. What she ended up doing was getting rid of everybody except for Abby, and that wasn't originally the plan. And ultimately, it's what brought Abby to them.
Right. All the little things that happen along the way.
Yeah, all of her friends getting hurt by Ellie and Tommy.
Trail of dead crumbs.
Exactly. That's exactly why Abby showed up in the first place. And of course, you'll get to see that in season 3, exactly how that transpired. Um, so, yeah, this relentless pursuit of revenge that's frustrating for you to watch. It only continues to happen. Like, she just keeps doing it.
You know, you saying that tells me something very interesting because, okay, first of all, I like that they do it this way because there is more of an emotional impact when one is vacillating between
Mm-hmm.
wanting to protect their friends and just snapping and seeing red and saying,
Right.
there's the only chance I'll get. That's more realistic to me. The constant drive for revenge does not seem realistic to me. Because do you remember what I said when it came to the span of time that it would take to get from Jackson to Seattle?
Mm-hmm.
You have time to think. You have time to
Mm-hmm.
digest. You have time to live. You have time to turn back if you want to. I'm saying in general as people,
Right.
right? You have time to rethink your decision to go after these people. I think that's why we see this Ellie. Partially. Also having sexish, an intimate encounter with Dina, as you
Yes.
said in an earlier
Intimate
episode.
encounter.
Because then isn't what is life for if not for
Right.
having the people you love and being with them and finding them? Well, Jesse, poor Jesse.
Yeah, and especially, now that Ellie was so quick to say, "Oh, I'm going to be a dad." Like, she never once questioned starting a family with Dina. Like, she absolutely was on board with it 100% from the start. Shouldn't that be enough for her? It's not. She
And
decided to stay even after learning that. She decided to stay and get revenge. Now, I will say Dina made a point to tell her that it was important to her too
right.
to get revenge for Joel, which is again something that does not happen in game. So Dina is there specifically
To
for
egg her
Ellie.
on. Yeah.
Just I mean in the game she's there just to help Ellie because she cares about Ellie. It's not really suggested that she had any kind of relationship with Joel. So there's different dynamic in the series. I think they're doing it very, very well. I like that Ellie, again, as you said, oscillates between wanting to protect her friends and then all of a sudden deciding that getting Abby is the most important thing to her. She has this back and forth because she has a struggle with it. She's struggling with it. Whereas in game, a lot of it is, and I was going to mention this anyway, that in the series, they're not focusing as much on how much PTSD Ellie has from the incident with Joel, watching him get killed. So in game, it's mentioned several times that she doesn't eat and she doesn't sleep, and that she, is struggling every single day with this. And she believes the only way to fix it is to get rid of Abby, to make her pay for it. So that's
okay.
part of the drive of her constantly going forward and making, sacrifices of her friends and her own well-being and the smart decision because she feels like this is the only way she's going to be whole again. So they haven't really touched on that in the series. So I don't know if they're going to focus on that later because there's something that happens in the prologue portion that's pretty intense that shows Ellie's struggle that they may show in season 3 or season 4 depending on what they're doing.
Oh, yeah. To give you a little bit more context about why she suddenly flips
Yeah,
and seeks
yeah.
that revenge.
If they
There's a
haven't
good
been
story
showing
way.
it, if she's been concealing it, or if it hasn't manifested for her yet, possibly in the series. But like I said, in the game, it's definitely something that they mention quite often, and she often has. It's represented by her staring out like with a 1,000-yard stare, and the camera zooms in on her hand shaking. That's a common recurring image that happens in the game to kind of suggest that she's struggling with this situation. She's lost her sense of like steadiness.
That's interesting too, because isn't that one of the symptoms of infection?
It is, yeah, it is, and she can no longer hold her hand steady because she's got this constant like burden weighing on her soul because of what happened with Joel.
And we all know stress can leave you immunosuppressed.
Right.
Right? So that's interesting. Okay. Good to file away. Speaking
One of the things I questioned, speaking of lowering your health, or resistance,
Mm-hmm.
she came back to Dina and didn't question the possibility that she might have spores on her,
Mm-hmm.
even though she was just down in there, and she's gonna go and sit next to an open wound and
Mm-hmm.
And clean it.
yeah. Um,
She does tell her
I
to take
also
off her shirt. So I don't know. I just cover.
I
Crisis
also think it's
averted.
pretty sad that even after she sees what revenge leads to, i.e., the baby dying, because I can't remember the lady's name.
Mel's
She
baby?
died.
Mel,
Mel's
yeah.
baby died. But she was also the one that was just yelling at Jesse for letting a kid die,
Yeah.
There's
and
a
then
lot of
she
that.
has to turn around and do the same. Well, she doesn't have to, but it's sad that she doesn't learn. I mean, so the Seraphites got her and she almost died. She didn't learn from that. She's just like, oh, I got to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And then she finds out what happens that isn't even to her. Something terrible happens to an innocent
Yeah.
child.
And granted,
and she still doesn't learn from that.
Yeah, she didn't mean, obviously, for that to happen. It's very clear in the series that was an accident, whereas in game, she does deliberately kill Mel, although she, again, did not know that she was pregnant, so that remained the same, that she was unaware of that.
Ooh, what a crazy way. What a crazy scene.
I know.
That
But yes,
she lives long enough to bleed out. And
yes.
as brain death happens, like the blood is not reaching her brain, she's repeating the, oh, is the baby okay, or something like that.
You're doing great. You're doing great. Things she's probably said 100 times to other patients, like,
I wanted Ellie, say yes. Yes,
I know,
tell her the baby is out, Ellie. Just give her that little bit of relief.
Oh my gosh. And I got to tell you, that scene was so much harder in the series than it was in game, because
I agree.
I mean, Ellie does have a panic attack after she finds out that she's killed a pregnant woman. Like, she freaks out over it, and she's like inconsolable, basically, when Tommy and Jesse come to get her. They have to drag her away. But the events of the game are a little bit very similar. Again, it's the same but different. The same conversation happens with Owen, where she's trying to get them to, like, she's trying to use the tactic that Joel and Tommy taught her about how to get information from people. So she's trying to accomplish that, where the difference is Mel is the one that's closer to her, so she's having Mel point out where it is, and then at some point Owen goes for Ellie's gun, she shoots him, and then Mel in the game attacks her to try to get the gun away from her, and Ellie decides the best thing, because she's like, getting overpowered, she ends up using her switchblade and stabs Mel in the neck. And then Owen, dying on the floor, is like trying to plead with her, like he's got blood coming out of his mouth and everything. He's trying to tell her she's pregnant, like, and he can't quite get the words out. And
Lord.
then Ellie figures out, she unzips Mel's jacket. Mel is already dead. She got stabbed in the throat. And she realizes that Mel is pregnant, and she starts freaking out. An interesting change too. The reason that Abby finds them at the theater in game is because Ellie drops her map, the one that she was using this whole time to figure out where to go, and she's been making notes and everything, and she marked down their base of operations on her own map, so that she can find her way around. Well, in the chaos and her having this panic attack, she drops this map and leaves it there. Yes,
okay.
in game.
Okay.
And so that is the reason that Abby is able to find them.
Which
later.
is why
I'm curious to know how she
does
finds
it here.
them. Yeah.
Which is why I'm glad you, because I was like, are you going to say something we shouldn't know?
Well, no, I'm curious, because I don't know how she finds them.
I mean, if you see my face, I was like,
wait, no,
why are you saying this? No, that's cool. That's really cool.
You're saying this thirst for revenge might be a sick habit?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it might be.
That's so great.
That's good.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Do you want to say what Rob?
Look it up. I thought that was a movie, and I did look it up. I'm like, I thought it was a movie title until I went to try to look it up.
Yeah.
And somebody had pointed out that it was not, but yeah.
Yeah. It's her band, her favorite band.
I think you let slip that it's Abby's favorite band too, or something.
Is it?
I don't. I thought maybe that was another thing they shared.
Sure, let's like.
Oh, I hated sick habit. Anyway.
No, yeah, but to go back to the scene in the TV series is so much harder and so much more brutal in a way, because Ellie clearly did not mean to kill Mel. Where in game, I don't think she didn't go in there intending to kill either of them, but it just sort of happened that way. She was defending herself because Mel was attacking her. But it's so much sadder here. I
Yeah,
feel like.
it's
Yeah,
less
this is
gruesome.
worse. This is way worse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's less
so much
gruesome,
worse.
but it's more, just way more,
More
impactful.
heartbreaking. Like,
Yeah.
it was so difficult to watch that
um,
scene.
It was a little bit, not necessarily the entire action, but it was a little bit foreshadowed in the book that Ellie picks up in the bookstore, the monster at the end of this book. Because if you're familiar with this book, you know that when you get to the end, it's a mirror.
Oh,
You're the monster at the end of the book.
I was gonna say
That's
I
so,
have
I
it.
didn't know
I
that.
have it.
Yeah.
If you would like me to
I
go
have it.
get
I had it too as a kid.
I have it here in
So,
my house.
she takes that book, and of course, by the end of this episode, she is the monster.
Huh.
At the end of the
Of
episode.
course.
When you
Yeah.
finally realize it, yeah. Well, can I go into that? Because I went through the bother of actually getting a synopsis of that book. But wait, Bridget is saying something.
Before you do, I'm so sorry, but I am fading super fast. I did not get much sleep because I didn't get home until like 1 a.m.
And you had to
And
be
then
up
I
for
had to
work.
go to work. And then I had to go to
Yeah.
work this morning. So I am so sorry. I normally would just like suck it up.
Soldier up. Yeah.
But you can tell I'm like zoning.
I
Like
couldn't
you guys
tell.
are talking, I'm just like this.
You're a consummate professional. I couldn't tell.
Thank
I
you.
get it.
Thank you. I'm trying. I'm really trying, but I'm so close to being like wake up. Like,
snap yourself awake.
yeah, I'm
Quick,
like
Karina,
having a
say
rough time.
something. Dave is going on and on about books.
I'm so sorry. I just
okay.
I cannot make it much longer, I don't think. So I
Okay.
think I'm gonna go ahead and call it quits here. I love this episode. I think this was a really nice end to the second season. It makes you excited for season 3, but it's not a giant cliffhanger, so you're not like, "Ugh, ow, I'm gonna have to wait until season 3 and we don't even know
Right.
when they're gonna film." Like it's not like that. It's more like, okay, this is good storytelling and I want to see more.
Mhm.
And the part with Mel I hated. I hated it so
Yeah.
much. I
Oh,
hated
yeah.
it. So I was like screaming at the TV.
God, for personal reasons, maybe. That's
Yeah, it hit
effed up.
home. But I was just like, just cut her belly, dude. It doesn't matter. She's dying and the baby's dying. And so really, any chance you take right now is better than nothing.
Yeah, exactly. I think
Is
the
how I felt
risk
about it.
is yeah.
It was worth it, but
Yeah.
she didn't, and that was really, really heartbreaking to see. And I almost wish that it had been an obvious panic attack instead.
Yeah.
Because
Instead of
then-
that like
then I could at
paralyzed
least-
fear that she had of like doing
Yeah.
anything.
Well, then
Then
she,
I could at least be
nothing.
like, oh, okay, get that. Totally
Yeah.
understand that. It was a rough watch.
I think it's pretty sure that they haven't had any like super great medical or surgical training because they bandaged Dina's leg over the jeans,
I was not going to bring it up.
which made me so angry. Like I was
The
so mad
movie
every time I
trope,
saw her. I'm
yeah.
like, what is this?
Yeah, that's a movie
Cut.
It's
trope
an
for
interesting
sure.
choice, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's take this arrow out and now let's bandage up her bloody, dirty jeans right
Mhm.
on top of the arrow hole.
I
Nothing
do.
could go wrong
It's
there.
interesting, but I'm not interested.
What a great way to sign off, Bridget.
I'm, I'm gonna go.
Yes.
That's the
Jesse
take that'll
knows where
stick.
the arteries. Jesse knows where the arteries are, yet he doesn't know how to dress a wound properly. Yeah.
It's like basic first aid. Anybody who's taken a course can teach you, but it's fine.
Oh, well,
It's
he
fine.
knows how to take the arrow out, which I noted in my head.
Mhm.
Well,
to break
again,
the-
he knows where the arteries are. Apparently.
Apparently.
And how to repair an arrow wound. But anyway, Bridget, so I don't want to keep
But
you.
I love you guys, and I'm glad I got to be here at least for a little bit. And
Hi,
I'm,
Bridget. Get
I'm
some
so
rest.
sorry that I
Hi.
can't stay longer, but
Yes.
I'm gonna
Love
go crash.
you. Feel better.
Okay,
Get some
Bridget.
sleep. Love you.
Thanks. Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hey.
And then there were 3. Okay.
And there were 3 knuckleheads. Okay, I'm glad that
Yes,
you're on
so-
that side of the screen. Okay, let me just jump to what Bridget just said about the belly thing, and then we'll go back to the book because I identify with Bella Ramsey's version of Ellie having that panic attack because I've been in that situation before and I have frozen in the midst of it, and I you can tell I'm kind of like I'm sort of doing it now. I'm having like a flashback of some kind because that's what happens to me. My mind kind of goes blank. You try to be in the moment, but you're kind of trapped between being in the moment and crying for help. But there's all these things happening at once, and my mind kind of shuts down. And so that really got me. Like, not got me as in like emotional, like, oh, I'm so crying for Ellie. No, it really got me because it hit a nerve of a similar experience. And so I get why she didn't plunge a knife haphazardly in this
Yeah.
woman's belly because, hey, I just killed this woman. I don't want to for sure kill this child. But then again, if I leave, see again, panic attack. But if I
Yeah.
leave the baby in there without taking it out, I'll for sure kill
definitely
this
gonna die.
child.
Yeah, it's gonna die either
Do
way.
it? Can you kill something twice? You know, this is all happening in my head as Ellie. I'm feeling what she's feeling. Also, kudos to Bella Ramsey, which Igihiep. I don't know if I'm saying this right. Yes, says in the chat, I love Bella, very, very love. Hello, Bella. And I say, hello, Igich, or Igich. Yep, in the chat. And all these good nights to Bridget.
I have loved Bella Ramsey since Game of Thrones because she was a little
Spitfire.
badass on that show.
Mm-hmm.
And I have never played the game, so when I saw she was cast in this, I was like, cool, I will love her in it. And I do.
She
So.
definitely portrays Ellie because the clip that I sent to the group chat earlier today, like, you see the way Ellie talks in the game, and she's just very like powerful, straightforward, like, badass, through the whole thing. So I think she's portraying Ellie very, very well, and keeping a little bit more of Ellie's humanity more in the series than in the game, because I think, as I mentioned before, in game she's very traumatized and her personality does not show through as often, if at all, and I think that they're doing a better job of that in the series.
I think trauma manifests in that way too, or PTSD, more to your point, because
Yeah.
it's you trying. Excuse me. It's you trying to live a life, to act like everything is normal,
and it's not.
but it really isn't.
Yeah.
And that seems more accurate to me.
Yeah, and she writes in a lot of it, like I said, is just quick little phrases like Dina tries to offer her food and she's like, I'm really not hungry. We lost Shandy. And then there were two.
I don't mind this at all. Okay. No, I don't really. I guess we'll see if she comes back, and maybe she'll say it in the thing, which probably explains her experience on my end.
Maybe, yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, you hear her just say, oh, I'm not really hungry. She never eats through the whole thing. She talks about not being able to sleep. She writes in her journal, everyone expects me to be fine. Everything's not fine. How can everyone, I haven't slept for however many days. You know what I mean? And those are all things that are missable. If you don't read the journal, you won't know any of those things.
Oh, but, right. Because you can't see it in the games, in the process of playing the game.
She just creates new, hi, welcome back. She just creates new journal entries as things happen. So,
Well, I'm sad that Bridget isn't here because it mirrors something that Bridget has said. And that was, she said something like in the process of grief. She's like, can you see or hear Sharondy right now? Because I can't yet.
Looks like it's just reconnecting.
Okay, yeah, I see that too. Let me see if I can pause her uploads while she's doing that. Yeah, I can. I can't. Okay.
Yes, no.
Okay, we're going back to, Bridget has said something similar, like in the process of grief. Mm-hmm. She complains, she does it. Stop treating me differently. And at the same time, she goes, I wish people would understand that I'm grieving. It's
right, exactly.
It's like, that's what
both ways, yeah.
Yeah, that's what pulled up in my head when you said that. What a great example.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if I can pause your uploads, Sharondy. Everything okay on your end, internet-wise? Yeah. Wait, no microphone? It says no microphone. And now it says, there we go.
It's been storming here, so... You know what it does when it storms here.
You know how it do.
Yeah. I've had thunderstorms all day.
I see. Yeah, we drove through it, basically. Okay, let me backtrack to the book. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
We're talking about the book.
Okay, I want to make sure that we covered all our bases. Okay. So I clicked a little... It's definitely AI. Just going to say this right now. It's definitely an AI. It's nightwater.email is the website / monsters - Grover - explained. Anything that says anything that says explained at the end is definitely AI, or at least they have like stock SEO. It says the truth about Grover explains, like that sort of thing. Anyway, so let me read the whole thing. This way you'll get the big picture of why. Oh, I guess it's not. I don't know, unless Adam Cecil or Cecil is a AI pseudonym. Who's the author of this thing. The monster at the end of this book, ending explained. 5 decades later, the ending of the monsters, again, 1971 was when this book was written, this children's book. 5 decades later, the ending of the monster at the end of this book continues to vex readers. No, it doesn't. Media literacy, people. Media literacy. This is why I wanted to read this. It's so funny. To fully explain the complex, self-referential plot driving the monster at the end of this book, starring lovable, furry old Grover, which is literally the title of the book, is no easy feat. Published in 1971, the monster at the end of this book is a crucial piece of metafiction canon. This is getting wild. Part of the Sesame Street universe, itself a subset of the MCU.
What?
Wait. The Muppet Cinematic Universe.
Oh my gosh.
The monster at the end of this book is known for... See, this is why I want to read this. The monster at the end of this book is known for being an early vehicle for superstar Muppet Grover and its commercial and critical success. It's also known for its confounding twist ending that continues to baffle and confront audiences to this day. No, it doesn't. Media literacy. Luckily, the 5 decades since the tome really was released have given us plenty of time to fully explore the meaning behind the monster at the end of this book. If you're struggling with the monster at the end of this book, keep reading for a full analysis of the plot and ending explained. I'm making a face, audience.
Yeah.
Warning. This is why it's so funny. Warning, major spoilers for the monster at the end of this book ahead. You've been warned. Another subtitle. What happens in the monster at the end of this book? While you should never judge a book by its cover, and there's a link to it. Let me just click this link. That's another thing. Let's judge some books by their covers is the link. Anyway, the story of the monster at the end of this book begins right here with Grover, the popular blue fuzzball that lives on Sesame Street, saying hello to readers with a wave. Right from the get-go, Grover is breaking the fourth wall and directly engaging with the reader. That's literally the book. He's engaging with you as the reader of the book. And I'll explain in a second. In the title page inside the book, we find Grover already grasping the corner, ready to turn the next page of your book. A choice he quickly regrets. Okay, let me just do the Grover voice because I do have a good Grover voice. Did that say there'll be a monster at the end of this book? Was that okay?
That was pretty good, yeah.
Okay. Grover asks on the next page, "Oh, I am so scared of monsters." Okay, next. Luckily, Grover has a plan for avoiding the monster. If the reader does not turn the pages, they'll never reach the end and won't have to face the monster. Grover's plan falls apart almost immediately as the reader continues. Reader?
How dare you?
Since polite negotiation didn't get him anywhere, Grover sets up a series of obstacles. This is why I'm reading this. To stop readers from turning the page, a cluster of intertwined ropes and knots, a structure of wood boards and nails, and finally a solid brick wall. These obstacles are easily demolished by the reader. Obviously, they're just turning a page.
Right.
I'm going to get back to this in a second because that's why I'm reading. Mother of God. And see, I guess Grover was the one who pounced Sharon out of the... In a last-ditch attempt to avoid the monster, Grover begs the reader not to turn the page, a request that the reader does not honor. Because again, you yourself are telling Ellie to stop. At some point in the game, in the show,
yes.
I guess it doesn't really matter.
In the game mostly, but yes, you're like, please stop. Like,
it's this, you know what? We talk a lot about the Walking Dead being the Stanley Milgram test, which is like to test your ethics. Mm-hmm. Like it's the appeal to authority fallacy. When an authority figure tells you to push the button to punish a test subject for being wrong about a thing, you see the subject is suffering. The idea is, does someone's humanity outpace the appeal to authority? Meaning, because an authority figure is telling you to punish the subject, do you, at some point, does your ethics kick in and say, I can't do this anymore? Mm-hmm. The sad part is that the Milgram experiment finds that most people appeal to authority. Now, I'll say this, meaning the test subject suffers. First of all, the test subject doesn't suffer. They're just acting. Second, though, There have been some debunkings about that Stanley Milgram experiment, but it still kind of stands a bit, though, because it's kind of a warning to people. Step in. Anyway. Okay. On the final pages where one might expect to meet a horrible monster, there is, in fact, only Grover. Grover admonishes the reader for being afraid of him. You're so afraid of Grover. I told you there was nothing to be afraid of. That wasn't quite good, but whatever. You get the idea. In a postscript, Grover, head in his hands, mutters under his breath, "Oh, I am so embarrassed." The monster at the end. Okay, it still goes on. I didn't read this far, by the way. I just was amused by this far. The monster at the... Excuse me. It's doing the Grover voice. Subtitle. The monster at the end of the book, ending explained. At the start of the monster at the end of this book, we're led to believe that the monster and Grover are two separate beings. After all, Grover is our furry friend. Ellie is our she's not furry, friend, and monsters are typically big, scary creatures. This turns out not to be the case. It is revealed in the final moments that Grover is the monster all along. Looks at audience. Wait. This twist may appear to come out of left field, but the clues for it laid down from the very beginning. Just look at the subtitle, starring lovable, furry old Grover. Grover was not starring in the monster at the end of this book, but as the monster at the end of this book. Most readers will be forgiven for missing this clue. Well, again, they're children, but then also you're the adult. Why are you reading this? While Grover is a popular Sesame Street character, most would think of him as a Muppet and not necessarily a monster, though, of course, we know that the categories are not mutually exclusive. See also Cookie Monster. It literally says in parentheses.
See also Cookie Monster.
In fact, this possibility is not even clear to Grover, who does not consider his intersectional identities until he stands alone at the end of the book. At the end, Grover... That was a little weird. At the end, Grover asserts that it was the reader who was actually afraid of the monster the whole time. Like the player. Like the watcher. This doesn't make any sense on the surface. Readers will likely remember Grover's multiple futile attempts to stop them from turning the page, in parentheses, which will fail because being mere illustrations and not physical obstacles. The postscript, however, provides a clue for why Grover would say this. He's embarrassed by his own hysterics, and to save face, he attempts to gaslight the reader.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe this is valuable. I didn't think of that. That's interesting. Now I'm like heartfelt. That's all. Subtitle, is Grover really a monster at the end of the monster at the end of this book? When asked to explain the ending of the monster at the end of this book, most people would agree that Grover is the monster. But some scholars posit a theory that the monster at the end of the monster at the end of this book is actually the reader. Oh, okay. I don't regret reading this. Who forces Grover toward the end of the book against his will, going so far as to destroy property and create messes for Grover to clean up later. That is wild how similar this is to the story.
It is, yeah.
Right? Because if you're of the type who doesn't want all this to stop, who loves the carnage, or is using the game as an appeal to authority, right? Gives you permission to do the horrible acts. I can see that, Karina, as you're playing the game. I can see people not wanting to stop. They want to see more. They want to see it. Not because they're horrible people, but they're appealing to the authority of the game. There are rails on this roller coaster ride. That means I can't get hurt, right?
Exactly. You can choose to put the game down at any point. And similarly, as I mentioned before, even just the way you navigate the game, you are free to cause as much carnage as you would like.
As you have in your gameplay.
Yeah, on, believing that I need to take out every enemy on the field, which is just not true. You don't have to do that. And I just started playing that way, and I was like, this makes way more sense to just get through as quietly and quickly as possible with as few casualties as possible, because that's not your goal. Your goal is to get to a specific person or through a specific area. There's a whole section that I just skipped now because it's not required, and I used to always stop and engage the enemies for no reason other than they were there. And I'm learning now, as I've played through this game so many times, I'm like, wait, this is completely has nothing to do with me. I could just go right past this, and that's what I'm gonna do. So, and it just cuts out a big portion of your time and frustration and just a sink on your supplies and everything. Because why? Because the game has provided an opportunity to shoot enemies or whatever, because we're conditioned as gamers to want to shoot the enemies. You know what I mean?
To kill the
Even though it's
monsters.
Yeah, it's not even really necessary in that moment. And yeah, to your point, you can choose to put down the controller and not play it, as many people chose to do as soon as they saw that Joel was gone out of the game, and they're like, "Nope, I'm done. I'm done. I don't need to play this game." So
I guess in both respects, okay, maybe in a not capitalistic sense, but maybe in an ethical sense, for the people who decided to put the game down, it gives me hope for humanity.
right.
Thereby validating me, who says that people are inherently good. Thank you. Good night, everybody. Anyway, no, but that's actually kind of a win when you think about it. I mean, it's not really for the same reasons. Obviously, they're not stopping to play the game because they're good people who don't want to see more people die or meet more people they love die. It just sucked that they lost their main characters. Well, from the first game,
Well,
essentially.
in a way, I guess you could draw a parallel of continuing to play the game even after Joel is gone, after that happens, choosing to play the game because you want just as much as Ellie to see Abby get her comeuppance for what she's done.
Oh boy.
You know what I mean? Versus people who are willing to say, you know what, I'm done, and just let it go.
It's not worth it.
Which is exactly what Ellie couldn't do.
Which is what Druckmann wants you to do.
Yeah. So I think that's a good parallel to draw from it. Like, myself has chosen to play through enough times that I've now come around to appreciating Abby and not just wanting to see her get what she deserves or what I felt like she deserved from the first time I saw it happen. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm so glad I went into this. Let me go to Bridget in the chat, who has been struggling to get on, but can't really. She says, I can't get back on. I want to say, in the context of the literary clues, there is a phrase on the bookstore called "Everything has a moral if you can find it," in quotes. This is from Alice in Wonderland. Thank you, because
yes.
I was going to look that up, but I did not have time. I was rushing to get here for the live stream.
Yeah.
She says her statement resonates with Alice's understanding that everything she encounters would result in a lesson of some kind. The Duchess, sorry. Everything. I just want to read that. Okay, sorry, I thought that was in context. Alice fails to recognize that her preoccupation with the rules resembles the Duchess's preoccupation with the morals. Okay, yes. Well, which, again, appeal to authority versus appeal to ethics. Right? Because you think, well, we're saying it now. Anyway, let me finish the end of this thing, because maybe there's another brain nugget that this surprisingly great insight gets us back to. Think back to the full title of the book. The reader, despite having an equal part in the story to Grover, right, is not mentioned at all. Strange, unless you consider that the reader is, in fact, the monster in this play for two. Because, right, you're both engaging with this book. While it may not be the most popular theory for the ending, it's food for thought. I agree, begrudgingly, and shows why the monster at the end of this book continues to be a rich text for analysis. I am pleasantly surprised. I was going to read a few lines as a lark, and then I just was like, wait, this guy sucked me in with SEO, and I'm a complete rube, and it actually makes sense to compare it to the series as a whole. I guess these writers know what they're doing.
I guess, in a sense, to compare it with this game series, if you, as the player, were the monster at the end of the story, you would be the one choosing to continue on rather than Ellie being the one choosing to continue on. But it's not that kind of game. You don't get to make those moral choices. She's making, like I said, she's making the mental and the moral choice. You're just controlling the action. So there are plenty of games that give you the moral choice to do something or not do something.
Yeah, handful.
And there were moments in this game when I really wanted to have that choice, but it does not provide it for you. Ellie ultimately is making that choice. So that's where I think it diverges from the game, at least.
Yeah,
shared the TV series.
well, yeah, and I guess we don't have that choice, which is why I'm glad they made the show at least less gratuitous, but more dramatic to illustrate the resonance of those decisions. Okay, look, Dina is back there with a baby in tow, however developed that baby is, and I could easily see a situation where she instantly thought of Dina as this was happening. Again, all of these happenings, and these thoughts invading her as these things are happening.
Yeah.
And Charity says, as Abby and Ellie are both preoccupied with revenge. Actually, I don't think Abby is preoccupied with revenge until she finally sees Ellie. She's like, what is going on here? Why are my people dying?
I think that she was preoccupied with revenge leading up to
okay.
the point where she killed Joel, because if you remember that Owen was trying to have a conversation with the rest of the group saying, like, we just got to convince her to leave because this is too dangerous now. So, and Abby was the one who was pushing forward regardless of what her friends thought and whether or not it put them in danger. So she did do exactly what Ellie's doing right now. The difference is that where at the point in the story we're in, Ellie has not succeeded in her revenge mission, and Abby was successful in her revenge mission. So Abby is further along in her story, revenge mission wise, than Ellie is, if that makes sense.
Well, and that's a cautionary tale, because let's say you, I'm gonna look at how this all happened. Isn't the Seraphites and the WLF thing a cautionary tale? You kill our children. It's because you trained them to be fighters, so we killed them.
Because you
kill
them.
our
Yeah,
children.
like,
And it's like, if you lead everything to its logical conclusion, the cycle never ends. And what is the WLF doing in this episode but trying to completely eliminate the Seraphites, who happen to
yeah, they're
have
in
tons
a
of children?
full-blown. They've already been at a war, but now it's come to a complete like climax, as you can see happening in the background of this island assault.
Which is basically, it sounds like the Seraphites HQ, essentially, this island.
Yeah, so they haven't really mentioned it a lot in the series, but yes, the Seraphites have an island. They're meant to be confined to it, as per the treaty. Yeah, and they don't stay on the island, and that's why you keep seeing them get captured, because they're sneaking past the borders, I guess, into wolf territory. So they keep getting captured every time they do that. But my assumption is that they don't have everything they need on the island. And also, knowing what I know about what their thought process is about this world that they live in now,
which we get a glimpse of.
They were never going to stay on the island. So,
right. They give us a glimpse of that in the lines that that one Seraphite they capture, the WLF, actually the one guy that was converted as a well, he was formerly Fedra. Dixon converted him because he obviously came on board.
Yeah.
And that's the guy who's torturing or dragging the Seraphite out. It's the guy with the floppy hair, with the floppy mid-part hair, who didn't have that at first or whatever. But and you see he's completely on board with WLF.
Oh yeah, he's 100% on. Yeah.
So the Seraphite himself says something to the effect of, let's see here. Okay, it is. There's more than one. Okay, wait. Okay, so hypodermic needles. I thought that was a kind of a good visual. The world is not in balance, but I've done my part to right it. She has led me through the storm. Now I must rest. May she guide me, basically. So that's interesting. Do you think we'll get more into? I have to assume we'll get more into.
Yeah,
their
I think
thought
we're
process.
we're gonna see a lot more of the Seraphites, because Abby is part of the WLF. They are much more involved in what's going on with the relations between the Seraphites and all that kind of stuff. So you're gonna definitely see a lot more of that.
Drip.
Yeah,
such great drips.
And I was also gonna mention too, like, from what little we've gotten to see of Mel, that addition to the interaction that she has with Ellie as she's dying says so much about her character. The way she's talking about, okay, you're gonna have to cut into me, and she's using words like bilateral and things like that, which leads you to believe that she has some kind of medical training, which I know all of these things, but the audience doesn't. But it conveys so much about who she is in that short amount of time, that her first thought is not, oh my gosh, I'm about to die. It's, you got to get this baby out of me. Like, you got to save the baby right away. Like,
mirroring Jessie in a sense, because she thinks of others first. Being somebody who is in the medical field, she's focused on the patient, not herself. Ooh.
Exactly. Yeah. So I love all these little ways that they're introducing these characters and this other faction that we just sort of seen peripherally, just with the things that they've said, and the little murals that they paint on the walls and things like that. Such a great use of storytelling without saying it to you. You know what I mean? Without just talking at you.
No, I agree. Right. Show, don't tell. Right. It's a form of show, don't tell when you give somebody just enough. So like, do you get it? Maybe you don't, but you will.
Right. You will later. It'll make sense.
It'll make sense. I promise. I promise.
Well, it's enough to just pique your curiosity and start saying, I wonder what that was about. Even for me, because like I said, what do you mean there's more than one prophet? This is new. This is news. This is information that's not suggested at all in the game. So I'm curious to know what that's leading to.
Yeah. And Rob Lucchese even says she even gave her a time limit of 30 seconds till the fetus dies.
Yeah.
Oof,
Yes,
Rob.
exactly.
Oh boy. Yeah. Little details like that. A lower lateral incision. Yeah.
Yeah.
That actually kind of brings me to, well, so you touching on the Seraphites HQ or where they were supposed to be confined. I'm going to say this, but not get into it. But I find this part or this knowledge drop very telling for the times in which we live, because it does touch on a current events scenario that is going on currently, still after a year and a half. For those who know, like me, who have intimate knowledge of those current events, who are constantly wondering how this will shake out, it does tie intimately into that, and it does make me wonder sometimes when or where or how scenarios like the ones that are being depicted on the show will end. And so for those who know, they'll know what I'm talking about without getting into it, because I don't want to get into it. But it just goes to show that what's happening on the show is a lesson to be learned, and that there is obviously blame on both sides, and everybody comes from a place and comes from a side. But the thing that I really wanted to hone in on, and the thing I actually said about the book, is the following. And it's something that we said on Dark Winds, a lesson that was brought home very brilliantly on Dark Winds. There are no such things as monsters, actually. It's just people doing bad things, and good people doing bad things to stop them. And depending on your perspective, one can view the other as the monster.
Of course.
And that's kind of the big takeaway I got from the book, really. But even though I'm very glad that we read that thing, because you, the reader, watcher / game player, is actually the monster. I love that part.
Right.
But the bigger part of the lesson is it's not monsters. It's people. It's people. People aren't inherently monsters. Not born monsters. Not born evil. And the things that they do, again, you've said it very well on the show, that the game kind of makes it out to be that people are in this immense gray space, and it really depends on how far you're willing to go. That makes you the monster, really. But doesn't make you the monster, because who can blame you?
Well, it's just, I mean, the same, and we've said it 100 times already, like with The Walking Dead, like depending on whose story you're following will kind of color your opinion of the antagonist or the protagonist. The same thing is happening here, and we've already started to see it right now. Abby is the antagonist of this group. We're going after her. We're going to see her side of the story, and you are not going to, I guarantee that you will not feel the same way about her by the time you finish the story. I didn't, even after the first playthrough, I felt differently about her, which is why I played the game again. And had a little bit more respect, yes. And actually came to really enjoy Abby's story and Abby's character, as well as the humanization of the WLF, the humanization of the Seraphites. Like right now, all we've seen of them are these horrific acts. Who are they as people? Like, what drives them to do this? Like,
and the kid giving Ellie the axe while she was in the noose, by the way.
Yes,
whoa,
yeah.
That blew my mind. Which is what made me think of the other thing, actually.
Yep.
Because that's how this escalates.
Yeah, it's like, where did it start? It doesn't really matter where it started. This is where we're at right now. How do we move forward like that?
Agreed. Sorry, I'm thinking of the other thing. Sorry, very heavy. Actually, this actually takes me to another point that I want to make about that. Because it does take us back to the book. What is Grover doing in the book? He's throwing up obstacles. He's trying to get you to stop. And what are those obstacles? But like one of the biggest ones is the big wave that knocks Ellie off her boat. that was the biggest tell for me. I mean, I'm sure people have theirs in this episode. Like, what was the thing? Like, there's so many little roadblocks that are put in Ellie's path to get her to stop,
Oh yeah.
to come back. That was one for me. And then, of course, when the wave didn't work, it's very biblical, right? It's almost like a flood, right? There's floods happening. If not the wave, then the Seraphites. You're lucky to be alive right now, because had the WLF not started their assault at that very moment, you would be not only dead, but disemboweled with no hope of a return. So that should have gotten her to stop. And then because she didn't listen to the 2 warnings and she proceeded anyway, well, it's, what is the expression? Be careful what you wish for, you might just get it. Right? And I said it earlier, but I don't know why I forgot it.
Well, so too, think back to Nora mentioned that they let her go. Owen mentioned they
We let you
go.
live. Yeah.
Yeah. Abby mentioned, we let you live. Like, all of them have reminded her, we let you live. And here you are, still pursuing Abby, despite all of those things. Because Ellie can't see the gift that it was that they let her live. She can't see past the trauma that happened. And I understand that. I get it. But there's been many opportunities for her to stop and think about it. And she has not taken any of them.
Right. And how did it start? Does it matter how it started? Because it started with Joel.
Right.
If you want to be technical.
Yeah, I mean, Joel started, the Fireflies, did it start with the Fireflies? Or did it start with Joel's
Fedra?
act? Yeah, did it start with Fedra? Did it start with the Infected? Like, who actually started it? Does it matter what events led up to that point? At some point, you have to make a choice to break the cycle or continue on the cycle. And Ellie right now can't see past the cycle, I think. She's just stuck in it.
She's stuck in it. Right. And I like the fact that you brought up that every one of Abby's crew is saying, we let you live. We were precise. We had a surgical strike. We got the one we wanted, no one else.
Yep. And it's interesting. It was very much a disconnect. You could tell that Ellie wasn't listening to what Owen was saying, because Owen said, we let you go. And then he was like, she'll just kill us when she gets what she needs. She's like, no, I'm not like you.
Oh,
Owen just said,
I was going to say that.
They weren't like that. Like, we didn't do that. We could have killed you, and we didn't. So she's already trying to say, oh, I'm not like you. But
I am like you.
She is. I mean, that's true. She isn't like them, but she isn't like them in a positive way. She isn't like them.
He's like Rick Grimes on The Walking Dead. Unintended consequences.
Yeah.
But really, if you stopped to not go after Negan, maybe this would have been better.
Exactly. And again, killing Owen and Mel was not the intention, and it never was. But she definitely went in there with the thought in her mind, if they don't give me what I need, I can always just kill them. Same thing with Nora. She wouldn't give her what she needed, so she beat her to death. Mostly. She let the infection take hold afterwards, but
I'll say this and then we'll go to the chat for a second, because there's some funny stuff going on, because Sharondy's in it. Of course it's funny. But it goes to what... I love how we're kind of going backwards in time, which goes to show that it's so realistic. We're going backwards in time, because when Dina tells her to take off her shirt and does the injury things, and literally, Ellie reflects while looking at a mirror at how easy it was to get the information out of Nora in horror. Because she even says, what if she didn't deserve it?
Right. What if she didn't?
To Dina, who says she deserves it. And in the end, it flips. Because when Ellie tells Dina about why they went after Joel, Dina is like, oh, Joel started it, so that's why this happened. This is all happening.
Yeah, he got what he deserved, according to them,
And that's why we're even here. We didn't need to be here.
Right.
You're to blame for all this.
I really believe that if Ellie would have mentioned that to Dina ahead of time, she probably would not have allowed her to go.
Right. But I love that little moment of her, before all that, I love that little moment of her saying, maybe she didn't deserve it. It was too easy. The value of human life, right?
Yeah.
So that actually brings me to something, not Isaac Dixon, not the campaign. Well, let's read the chat for a second. Okay, so Yeah, I think Sharon had said something about because we're saying the monster at the end of the book. She was saying, "Oh, the monster is Fungistein," meaning Frankenstein. But Frankenstein isn't the monster. Frankenstein is the doctor. Frankenstein is a monster anyway, or Frankenfungi. And then Rob Lucchese goes Fungistein. You know, everybody's kind of laughing at the Fungistein or Frankenfungi. Sharon says, "Abby, we let you live. Negan, I would have killed you all." This is like season 11 Negan though,
Right.
but to your point, the Negan of the past was just one, just one. So wait, you all can live, right?
Right.
Make an example. I mean, listen, there you go. But, Sharon D, Abby is now like, I let you live and you wasted it, and she's turned into Negan.
Right.
And
She
that's
now
it.
at this point has decided like it wasn't worth it to let you live in the first place. Like you should have just gotten rid of you. I
Yeah.
mean, is that not fair though? Thinking about the reason that Abby must be there, because she said he killed my friends, and Ellie is like, actually, it was me. I'm the one who did that, and it was an accident. Does it matter that it was an accident? They're dead,
You're
just the same.
you're literally a force of nature.
Yeah,
If you're
exactly.
even to be believed, right? Because
Right,
truth, right? Who knows the truth?
right.
Rob Lucchese says Fungistein's bloater. If only, Rob. If only. Because then they're blameless. They just work on instinct. No, we have intentions. So,
Oh, that reminds me. In game, another obstacle that comes up on day 3 is a bloater.
oh,
Like she
I'm
has to
so
take care of
glad.
a
I
bloater.
hate those things. I hate those things so much. They just seem so like Hulk-like. It's
I
so hard
think they
to.
don't want to overuse the bloater, so they just left it out.
I agree. And so you could see why at the end of this episode. I'm wondering if you feel the same way. As much as you want to see season 3, because obviously they leave so many threads hanging for you to want to.
Oh yeah.
It's like the little mycelial ends that
Mm-hmm.
infect you, right? They are infecting you to want to watch season 3.
Of
Who
course.
can blame them? But can you see it from my point of view that there's a part of you that is a bit disgusted, that I can wait. I need to get over this episode between not immediately going after living uncle
Mm-hmm.
to help and save him, to by the end of it, obviously seeing Abby's point of view a little bit. She's
Mm-hmm.
grief stricken, and we saw her in the beginning of the season. She's grief stricken. She's vengeful. She's just like Ellie in this vengeance quest. There's a
Mm-hmm.
part of you that does feel bad for her. I mean, you're at a freaking gravesite at the beginning of the very beginning scene of this season. And that's what you're exposed to is Abby's suffering and torment. I
Yeah.
mean, granted, she says some things, but at the same time, who can blame her? Joel was very callously. She didn't have to shoot the doctor. We don't know
Yeah.
that he was going to attack him with the scalpel. We don't know, Karina. Okay, we don't know that.
I do. If you wait long enough, he does.
Yeah, but in the game, what we don't know as
Right.
audience viewers. But at the same time, he was very callous. He did the Negan thing. He did just one, just so that the other nurses wouldn't get any bright ideas. But I don't know. Just to say that seeing Abby's torment at the end, even having killed Jesse, which also bothered me too because I blame Ellie for that.
Right.
I'm terrible. I mean, I don't know if I'm terrible. I just feel feelings. I have big feelings. Everybody.
Why are any of them there? Because Ellie brought them there.
Yeah.
Versus in game, they're there because they were going after Tommy. But Ellie and Tommy were going to go there anyway. You know what I mean? So technically, Dina and Jesse being there are a result of, Tommy's actions.
Oh,
And
yeah, in the
Ellie's
game.
going after in game. So, in this, none of them would be there if it weren't for Ellie and Dina, but mostly Ellie,
Mostly
going
Ellie,
out in the middle of the night to go on this revenge quest when nobody else wanted to do that or voted to do that. Yeah, I know it's upsetting that Jesse dies so quickly. But again, looking at Abby, her point of view, and it only gets more heartbreaking when you see the
keep saying that.
it's just relentlessly bleak. I keep telling you.
Point taken.
When you get to see the relationship that Abby actually had with these characters that you have, interacted with as Ellie, that we've seen Ellie interacting with. When you get to go back and see Abby's relationship with them, it gets worse because now you have retroactive guilt for the things that happened earlier that you thought you were doing. as the good guy. You know what I mean? In
Quote
the
unquote
game.
good
Yeah,
guy.
the good guy. Yeah, and that's why I kept telling Bridget especially, like, I feel like the bad guy more playing as Ellie because of how many dogs you have to kill. Like, as her, because the WLF uses dogs.
Right. Whereas the WLF are the dog owners. God.
Yeah, and then you go play through as Abby, and then you get to meet and you like find out the dogs' names and everything else. I'm like, oh gosh.
Oh God, they had
Like,
lives and owners.
I know. They all had like, oh, they were so cute. And but yeah, you're gonna get to see Abby's relationship and Abby's side of this whole story. It's gonna humanize the WLF even more. So it's gonna have more of an impact later on than it even has right now. And so the things that you're upset about now might get worse, or might get better. I don't know, slightly. I know your frustration with her choosing to go after Abby at the expense of Tommy is pretty high, which I agree, and it's meant to make you feel that way because,
of course.
you know, we can see Ellie making the wrong choice over and over again.
Yeah.
And like that's part of the frustration and the saddest part about this story is seeing all the times, all the opportunities that she had to make a better choice, and she just never did.
Right.
So,
and I don't blame her too much. And I want to couch my sentiments by saying, when I say that I'm disgusted, or when I was disgusted. Because it's the strongest mechanism. It's the strongest emotion is disgust. Not love, not hate. It's disgust. It's the thing that turns you off. It gets you immediately on the other side. When I say that it upsets me, and when I say I need a little time to process this season finale, it's not because I hated it. By the way, it's because I was riveted, I'm invested, and it did something to me. It made me feel a certain way. I can't hate that as a show. Right. I don't hate individuals on the show. I don't hate actors or crew members or writers, maybe a little of the writers. But then again, I don't hate them because they created something that made me feel a certain way. So when I say that, I'm just saying I need a minute.
Right.
I just need a minute to process all this.
And I did mention something in my notes. So a couple things. So that instance where they have the crossroads. So Ellie's going to the aquarium and Jesse's going to find Tommy. In game, that interaction is even more calloused because Ellie in the series gives a very good speech about going after and protecting her people, and she's like, and guess what, my people got beaten to death right in front of me. That's a really good point.
Yep.
My community did, and because essentially saying Joel was my whole community, like I felt most connected to him, you know what I mean, and he's gone now. You know, so that was a really good point that she made in the series. In the game, they were going to the aquarium to begin with. Do you remember? They're not out there looking for Tommy. They're out there going to the aquarium because in game, Nora tells them it's the aquarium. She doesn't give a vague answer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
She says it's the aquarium. So they're going to the aquarium together to confront Abby. And then in the process of that, they overhear on the WLF radios that there is a sniper at the marina. And Jesse assumes that it's Tommy. He's like, it's gotta be Tommy. Because earlier on in a previous flashback, you are training with a sniper rifle with Tommy as Ellie.
You show in the show too, ish?
Yeah, sort of.
First episode?
So you kind of make that connection that Tommy is a good sniper. So, you know, it must be him. And that's when Jesse's like, oh, we gotta go get Tommy. And Ellie's like, we're going to the aquarium. And she's like, I'm not gonna come and save you again. Like, basically, she just puts it all on Jesse, like, I'm not rescuing you again, which isn't really what happened the first time she met him in the first place. Like, she just sort of putting that on him as if she rescued him, which is not at all the case.
That's not the events that happened.
Yeah, I mean, sort of, but not really. Like, okay, so in game, Jesse was pinned down by the WLF, and he kind of snuck up behind her. Like, she didn't know he was there. And that's when she sort of found out that Jesse was there. She thought it was Tommy. It was not Tommy. Mm-hmm. And Jesse had injured his ankle, which is the reason she goes to the hospital by herself. So
I see. Oh,
Yeah,
I
so
see what
it
you're
just
saying.
kind of sets everything up slightly differently. Like I said, the story beats are the same in the series. They're just set up slightly differently in the game. So
Which is
yeah,
why
she
that scene
kind of
had to happen the way it did.
exactly.
Mhm.
So in the game, she's kind of calling back to the fact that she rescued Jesse from the WLF. I mean, she did help him get out of the situation that he was in and take him to the safe house and everything. But I would not necessarily have described it as her rescuing him.
Right.
I feel like they had equal, you know,
Life-saving
yeah, they had equal
contributions.
like contribution to what happened there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's a lot more harsh for Ellie to tell him like, I'm not coming to rescue you again. If you go after him, like whatever happens is on you. I don't care. And which is a very different sentiment than that Jesse gets. When they're having the conversation in the theater afterwards, he's like, if it were me, I know you would burn the whole world down coming to look for me.
Right.
They do have a nice conversation in the theater, but it's not really about that specifically. I don't remember exactly what they say, but essentially they kind of smooth things over. Like, and I know that Ellie makes a joke about how sappy he is or something like that, and he's like,
Oh, and that's the
So,
third thing, by the way, because remember I said there was obstacles, right?
mhm.
The first one was really, if you think about it, her not going to save with Jesse to save Tommy in the show at the very least, and it turning out okay because Tommy and Jesse swept in after that whole ordeal went down with Ellie,
Mhm.
and both got her out of there. Because in a way, they kind of save her. I don't know how long
Yeah,
she would have stayed there.
yeah. Well, she had been paralyzed there until Abby showed up or something like
Boom.
that. You know what I
Right.
mean? So,
So she's lucky at every step of the way and could have stopped every step of the way. But it's 3 strikes. And anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt you there. But,
no, I was done. I was
okay.
done talking about that. But oh yeah, and then so there's
See?
that point. You reminded me.
Mhm.
I forgot what we were talking about though. So now I have to
Jesse's
find my
smoothing over the
notes.
theater scene.
No. It was
Okay.
about her outburst.
About being
Anyway,
a good person. I don't know.
I forgot.
Okay.
I forgot the point I was gonna make.
Well,
Whatever.
I'm going to read the chat a bit and then go to a specific point
Yes.
about Mel. But yeah. Rob says, I want to see the Rat King. We're going to put it.
We will. I'm sure we will. Yeah.
I'm sure we will. And we won't
I would
describe
love-
it.
I would love to see a shambler also. That would be super, super fun.
Or-
It's like a bloater, but worse.
It's like a bloater, but just
But
it's already
different.
bad.
Yeah.
Already bad.
Yeah.
I will say, yeah, I don't want to describe it because there's the idea. Like, if you want to look it up yourself, you could find it and you'll see it move and blah blah blah. My thing is the way they're going to show on the show. I kind of want to see that for the first time for the real, like just
Yeah,
because
I
it's
agree.
always great to see that reveal.
It's got some shock value to it as well because it's
Stuff for
I was not
nightmares.
expecting it. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. It reminds me of a dream I had about actual cluster of rats
Oh gosh.
tied together by a tail, bursting out of a cabinet under the sink.
That alone sounds creepy.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine if it was 8.5 feet tall.
Yeah, Charity says they all need to listen to Mr. Spock. The needs of the many. Yeah, Mr. Spock. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. Right. Yeah. Yeah. If only they had Star Trek, but maybe probably did. But then again, she watched that movie, Something in Viper,
Curtis and Viper.
Curtis and Viper, which is all about
Poor.
violence and how it's cool. Rob says, love the show enough that I am impatient. I get it.
Yes.
But like, who said patience on what episode? Oh yeah, Joel did in the last episode. You must have patience. You'll be rewarded. Rob also says, I may have to play through the games again while I wait for season 3. Well, don't play all the way through. You don't want to get spoiled. I mean, you played it already, but still. But maybe you could. You could weigh in. I want to speak to something specific about the moment Ellie has that freeze up moment. And she's stuck there. And because we kind of just talked about it. Tommy and Jesse scooping her up, having to tear her almost away from
kinda
Mel.
Take her away. Yeah, like we gotta go.
I think it really mirrors, and this also was the last episode of the last season. We finally get to see Ashley Johnson playing her mom. I think that was the last episode. I might be wrong, but I think I'm right. And you see that that's kind of the same in a way. She's infected with child, and Marlene and Joel make an arrangement, or I don't know, that wasn't Joel, it was Marlene. She makes an arrangement with her mom to keep her safe, and there is a mirror there that Mel. And I don't know the dangers. I keep wanting to ask about some of these scenes to flesh them out in game, how that happened in game, or but I want to wait to see what happens. But I have this idea, and that's the only thing I wanted to talk about. The whole conversation between Mel and Owen, and Mel being pregnant, indicates to me that you don't have to say yes or no. I feel like Mel wants a better future for her child. I'm also willing to say, because again, I don't know how this turns out, that Isaac Dixon not being able to find Abby's crew is deliberate. That maybe Abby is trying to get agency, or Abby and her crew are trying to get agency for themselves. Because where is Abby? Where's my future leader of the WLF? The things that I want to put on her for her future, rather than Joel freeing Ellie to have a future for herself.
Right.
Where are they? Nobody to be found, especially with this big campaign. But Owen in that scene is talking about going behind enemy lines as ordered by Abby, technically. And Mel is saying, I don't want you to go because of Abby. And I keep thinking that Mel herself wanted to have her baby to have a future, and she won't have it in this conflict or this scenario. All I want to know is, am I on the right track at the very least? Or would it be bad to even ask that question?
It's not bad to ask the question. And depending on I could answer this question for you, or you can wait for that answer to come as you watch season 3, because that is another hint at, that I was mentioning earlier, these little hints that they've dropped about Abby's story. Why is Abby gone? Why is she MIA? Why is Owen MIA? Why is Mel MIA? Why are all these people gone? Why is Manny, who's part of the group, not gone?
Right.
All of those things do get answered in Abby's story, at least in the game. I'm sure that they will. It's one of those things like, what is it, Chekhov's gun? If you don't intend to use it, why are you putting it in there? So I'm sure them calling attention to all of these things are going to be answered at some point.
Look at you with the restraint. I love it.
I'm trying.
So much.
I would love to just tell you, because
I tried not to say it.
It's so juicy.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole dynamic, and also that major change from the reveal that Mel is pregnant should have happened, at least if they were following the game, when we first meet Abby at the very beginning in Jackson. We should have known about that then, but they didn't. They chose not to mention it.
Wait, but that's actually interesting, because we find out about Dina's pregnancy on the way to Seattle, and wouldn't that have been the same for Mel? It could have been on the way back from
similarly. Similarly
back to Seattle also. Like, what is it about going to Seattle that makes you pregnant?
I guess a long trip with not a lot to do.
It's a long, beautiful trip, which could have happened on the way too,
But
guess.
Yes, you're correct, because they, at least revealing it to Abby and therefore the gamer, happens when they're already in Jackson or near Jackson, when they're already in the midst of being in this situation, they've committed to. Same thing with Dina. Like, it doesn't get revealed until they're already there. They're already in the middle of it. So the question is, do we turn back or do we not? So choosing to not reveal that about Mel, and that was something I did mention before. There was something that they didn't talk about.
The pin. One of the pins that you mentioned. Yeah. Oh, wow.
They didn't talk about, and I don't know if they're going to omit it or not, because I was a little worried that they were going to be too sheepish and not kill the pregnant lady.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, but they did, because that's what The Last of Us does. Druckmann is not afraid to make decisions that piss people off. So I didn't think that they were going to cut it, but I was like, why didn't they reveal it? I think it was just to make it the reveal even more shocking, because there was no build up to that. Because if you had been told that Mel was pregnant and only 3 months have passed since then, you could assume that she did not have the baby yet. Or, there would be a question of, oh no, she's dying and she's pregnant. But instead they chose to reveal that in the moment as she's bleeding out. So I think it was more effective that way.
So much more effective. Because that's not poisoned in your head this entire time.
Exactly.
Wait, Ellie, stop. No. No,
But
Ellie
I could
does the
tell.
thing, and then
I
you're
could
the
tell
awful person.
as soon as I saw her in that giant coat, I was like, "Oh, she is. She's
Oh,
pregnant." I can
I
tell.
love that. That's
Yeah,
the
I can tell
best.
because she's also in a large coat in the game. Like she's wearing like a puffer jacket and she's a small framed character, so she's very tiny, even compared to Ellie. So, and Ellie's also very small. So
Oh yeah. It's so interesting. God damn. Well, I remember the actor who plays her. I don't have her name up on the screen, but yeah, she posted a picture. I think it was a Vanity Fair article, and she was on the Runaways, Marvel's The Runaways. On well, I know I got it from Hulu, but I think it was on Fox. She played one of the characters there. She's much younger,
Mhm.
but she is she has these photos. I feel like this is very shallow, but she has these photos, this photo shoot of her, and she's just so amazingly thin, and
Mhm.
just very very beautiful. And I'm saying this as a compliment to the pregnant belly that we see in the show, and it's just kind of like, just goes to show that what you see on the surface is concealed by a jacket, obviously. But then when you finally get the reveal, who can blame you for not actually knowing? For
Right,
not seeing in the
exactly.
first scene or the first with Abby's in episode 2, really. So it's just very interesting.
Yeah.
Everything that led up to that made it so you would never think that she was pregnant at all.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. It is questionable, like just some of the things that you see that character go through during Abby's story. It makes you question a little bit because, like I said, they're gonna humanize the WLF and the Seraphites, but you're also gonna see where these groups are lacking severely in moral compass, both of them. So, to my point, the WLF is a military group, and Mel is a military doctor. So, as a pregnant woman, at least in the game, they put her in the field. She's pregnant, and they clear her for duty,
Oh,
which
well,
is crazy to think about. I don't
I
think that.
wonder. Yeah, I wonder if that they're gonna play with that. Oh, that
Yeah,
would be really cool if they
which
do.
to the point of your question, it's not crazy to ask: is she fighting for a
A
better
better
life
future.
for her kid? Because what kind of group allows a however many months pregnant lady to go into a war zone?
Oh, you're so smart. You figured out a great way to answer that question without saying anything from the future. Oh, I love it. That is so
Yeah.
good. It's so good. Oh man, I don't know if there's anything else we can add to all of this. I was
Let
just
me just
very
go over my
tickled by
notes real
that.
quick to make sure that I didn't miss anything. Small Easter egg. The bookstore we briefly mentioned, there was an Alice in Wonderland quote. There was also a mural, and they had fake mushrooms on the wall, which when you go through the bookstore in the game, it's more of a pass through. It's not like because again, they're not looking for Tommy. They're just passing through the bookstore. They do make it a point to say it's weird to use fungus as like a kid's decoration, right? And they're having a little conversation back and forth, like, well, it meant something different back then, like you know what I mean, like it wasn't scary. And then there's just a small Easter egg. So as they're leaving the bookstore to go after Tommy, there's a giraffe plushie on the couch.
Wait. It's one of let's do okay. It's one of my screenshots actually. So let me
Oh,
go
perfect.
to that. So first, let me show the. I'll do it in a second if I can. First is the screenshot of the book.
Yes.
Okay. And second, it's not showing on the screen now, is it?
No, I still see the book.
Okay, you still see the book. Okay, let's do stop and share again. It used to be that I could switch it
Try
off.
again.
Yeah, screen. And then let me show a picture of the plushie. It's not a really great screen grab, but here's the plushie.
Yeah, it's so fast. It's so fast. Yeah, it's like a little giraffe plushie, which I always catch because it's a recurring image as well as the moth.
Well, and what is
the
that supposed to
giraffe.
remind you of? I mean, the
Yeah.
giraffe is this seminal Ellie moment that she just
Yeah.
runs past.
This beautiful depiction of life and how life continues on despite disaster. Giraffes. Who would you think? You wouldn't think that in this post-apocalypse that a family of giraffes is thriving in Salt Lake. You know what I mean? They're
I'll,
not where they're supposed to be, but they're they're thriving there. And then in this series and the game, the moth is the overarching image
Death.
because it's death. Yeah, it's
But it's
very,
so
very
beautiful.
surrounded. Yeah, well, I mean, it can be.
You guys
But
didn't think so last time we talked about it.
I think we talked about all that. Oh, I did want to mention that the sound effect for the boat motor and her cranking it are exactly as they just reused the one from the game.
Oh, Foley. Wait, there's one more
So
thing
I
that we
love
wanted
that.
to talk about. And well, I'm sure you have another thing, but let's just pull this up on the screen. I wonder if we'll get to the significance of this. And what I'm showing up on the screen is the other prophet. Is
Yeah,
the first one was an elderly, I would say elderly, maybe 60s
a
white woman.
matronly woman. Yeah,
Yeah, of a certain maturity.
yeah,
This isn't all that different. It's a black woman with dreads who, you know, you have to depict them
yeah,
obviously differently from each other to note a difference. Ellie
yeah.
says, she looks up, she goes, "There's another. There's a
There's
second
more than
one.
one of them.
There's more than
Yeah,
one of
there's more
them."
than one. Which
And
I was also like, because when I saw the mural, I was like, that's weird. They didn't really get the image of the prophet exactly right. It didn't occur to me that they were making it deliberately different until she pointed it out. I was like, oh, I guess they are supposed to be different. I'm like, that's new. That's a new thing. I don't know what that's about, but that's interesting to me.
yeah, I can't wait to see what they do with this and
I
how
know.
it might illustrate power dynamics and why people to choose continue fighting, what people are willing to believe to continue fighting, like that beggars belief, right? You know when somebody says something, but because you're on their side, it says something unbelievable or incredulous, yet you still believe them because you're on their side. They can't be wrong. They can't be wrong
Right.
about this. Who's grifting me? Why
Can't be
would they
wrong.
grift
Yeah.
me? We're on the
Yeah.
right side. I think maybe this is one of those things. I can't wait to find out. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm on your side, Rob Casey. Now I'm back in. I'm in. Why won't season 3 be? Why isn't it here already? Why? So
Why can't I
frustrating.
just watch it? That's which led me to another thing where you were like, I need a break from this. And so at the end of the episode, of course, we have the cutaway with the gunshot, and we don't know what happened exactly. I mean, I know what happens, but the
Yeah.
audience is not supposed to know what happens. That happens in game. That is a natural break in the game. So the exact same thing occurs. We get a cutaway with the gunshot, and then it cuts to a flashback, which they have omitted from the series for obvious pacing reasons. I understand why they omitted it. So I imagine we're going to get that flashback on the first episode of season 3, which should be a flashback to Abby at 19 years old.
I figured. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So pre Joel arriving in Salt Lake, like
course.
very pre, like right before. So, and I'm curious to see that because I would love to see that because it's similar to the scene that Joel and Ellie has, but for Abby. So it has similar themes, similar imagery, that kind of thing. So I'm curious to see if they're going to open it with that flashback. I would love it if they do. But like I said, it sort of gives you a palate cleanser where you're like, I need a break because that's what it does for you. It ramps up all this like adrenaline and like, oh my gosh, this is finally happening. It's finally here. We're going to get the showdown between Ellie and Abby. And then we just tone it way down. We're like, oh, we're in a forest. We're in a flashback. We're not there anymore. Like we're gonna calm down for just a minute and kind of take a breather. So, and then you start to realize, oh, I'm playing as Abby now at day 1, which I was annoyed about it the first time I played it. I was very upset.
We're girding your loins for season 3, folks.
I know.
I wonder if they'll play it like that because if you think about it, oh man. There is a cruelty to having this kind of cliffhanger and not sort of going back to the people who, from your perspective, are affected most, the people you've been with, etc. It would make sense on a film level to actually go back to those people in some form or fashion before switching over to Abby. But listen, let's roll the dice, baby. Let's see if what we're about to do works on a television level.
Yeah.
If they follow the game beats.
Right. Well, and also too, let's mention that they took a scene that happens at the very end of the game after both sides of the story play out and the epilogue. Then we get that scene at it's almost the very last scene, almost. And and they pushed it way earlier for the purposes of the audience. I would not be surprised if they did not push
That
the
flashback.
result. Yeah, well, not
Oh.
the flashback, but the results of the convergence of Ellie and Abby together. You have to wait in game till the end of day 3 in Abby's story to see it from her perspective, and then we continue and we find out what happens. So I don't know if they're going to leave that for the season finale of season 3, or if we will go ahead and get that story much earlier for the TV audience who has been waiting however long to see what happens. I think it might upset some people to have to wait an entire season
That's
to find
what
out.
I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if they're going to change it or not. So I know in game you have to wait until the end of day 3, and we enter and approach that scene
As
from Abby's
Abby.
as Abby. Yeah, and you end up, being Abby when that plays out. So, and
How
that was something I
frightening.
didn't expect. Yeah, that was something I didn't expect when I first played the game. So, yeah, it was really cool to see it that way. And like I said, I don't know how they're going to do it for season 3 because they did make a lot of changes in this season. I don't hate the changes. I understand why they made the changes. I didn't understand the purpose of some of the changes until a little bit later, like, Ellie being excited to become a dad, like she's going to be a dad. And they added a scene that made that make more sense to me.
Yeah.
Because they changed it drastically from the game. Again, I keep saying it's simultaneously exactly like the game and completely different from the game at the same time. So
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if this is kind of like how the game should have been, but like, no, that's fine.
not necessarily. I think
We
the
kinda
game
went through
plays
it.
out. Yeah, I think the game plays out, and it's a beautiful story, the way they tell it for the medium they have it in, and the way they're changing it for the TV series. I don't think is subverting the story at all. I think Neil Druckmann is very particular about being true to that narrative and making sure that the narrative is sound in the way that they tell the story. And I understand the medium is totally different. Again, playing a game is more immersive in ways that watching a series never will be. But there are some things that just simply don't translate to watching a TV series the way you experience it in game. You don't have the suspense of sneaking around an infected area, and making your way through, miles and miles of rugged terrain filled with infected. You don't have that in a TV series. You have that in the game to see the struggle. Like you were saying in day 3, not a lot actually happens in day 3. That's because in game, a lot of it is you just getting there. And there's a lot of trials and tribulations involved with that.
Right. Well, and this is the thing. I'm trying to actually find. Yep, I was right about it. To your point, like you said, Neil Druckmann is very intimately involved in the series,
Yes.
TV series. To your point, he directed the last episode, to get that 100% right.
Yes.
I saw a post of it earlier today, and I remembered seeing it when I watched it the other week, but I wanted to be sure, so I looked it up.
Yeah, that he was actually directing it.
Yeah, and I saw a photo of him with he and Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey on the porch, just kind of like say, I'm so happy that I got to do this and have this in this, which kind of goes to show it's kind of like the Kirkman effect as well. Kirkman himself has admitted that. I'm not saying this is about Druckmann, but Kirkman has himself admitted that he liked some of the changes in the Walking Dead TV series because it allowed them to do a lot more, having not taken away things right up, like Rick's hand is the biggest example.
Right. Yeah, it's things that could be made. The argument was made that it would be too expensive to have him missing his hand throughout the whole series, so they kind of gave that to a different character that wasn't on screen as often, but could also turn into a happy, bonus or plus for storytelling purposes for other reasons, not that are not related to budget,
Right, and also gaslighting the audience to thinking, "Oh, is this when it happens? This when it happens?"
Right,
like,
right,
nope,
exactly.
nope.
When? I mean, the same thing was happening to me. I'm like, are they gonna reveal that Mel is pregnant, or are they not doing that? Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
Nope.
so then I couldn't talk about it because I don't want to spoil anything if they decided to change it, or if they reveal it the way that they did. I would have ruined that for people if I had mentioned, oh, they didn't say that she was pregnant.
So good at this, Karina. Damn you. So good.
I personally hate getting things spoiled. I want to experience it fresh. I want to experience it new. It's the reason that I've avoided everything possible about Thunderbolts, because I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to go see it tomorrow. It's happening. But I've avoided all of the spoilers possible because I just don't like getting spoiled.
Yeah.
Hilariously, with The Walking Dead, anytime we were behind schedule on watching it, or if our friend Jeff Wagoner was filming on something, he would love to drop spoilers
Unprovoked.
unprovoked spoilers, and I would get so upset with him. Like, I didn't want to know. I didn't want to know
Damn it.
about it. He's like, but he would find it hilarious.
Then he would spiral, be like, "Did I do something wrong?"
No.
And then he'll do it all over again. Son of a bitch.
He thought it was so funny.
Oh man. Well, let's go to the chat for a brief moment, because we should probably wrap this up. 2 hours and 45 minutes according to YouTube, and hopefully in the audio podcast I will be cutting for spaces. Won't be cutting for time necessarily,
We had
but
a lot of things to discuss. It was season finale. I mean, come on.
yeah, I'm so glad that we didn't get into some of the things that we knew would be revealed in season 3. I was very conscious of that fact, except for that one thing that I was just, I was wondering, which you answered brilliantly in the end. It was like, well, I can't talk about it. Well, actually, I can say this. This is one of the pins that I dropped in the second episode.
Yeah, I'm not going to answer it, but I'm going to, steer you in a direction. Maybe you're right.
Maybe you're wrong, but hey, remember that thing I
I'm not
told you
saying
about in the second
I'm just
episode?
saying it makes sense.
Yeah, it's logical. She wants anyway. Rob says, "I wonder if there will be different factions of Seraphites." That's
very possible.
Rob. It's what I was kind of thinking. Exactly. Each with a different prophet. Yeah.
That could make sense too. Yeah.
I don't know if I said that when I was saying that, but I think I may have said. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Rob said it now. You can take credit now, Rob.
Giving the credit to Rob.
I wonder, will the show definitively say that her dad could have made a vaccine?
I don't know if the show will, but I know that Neil Druckmann said that he felt like the Fireflies would have made a vaccine. But he also said that it was purposefully ambiguous in the game and in the series. So I don't know if the series will definitively say that they could have done it. I think the point is that you are supposed to be conflicted about it, but in his mind, which I guess we could take as canon, they would have made a vaccine. He said that I saw it on Instagram. I don't know where he said it originally.
I see. Yeah. I feel like I'm glad, because his point really is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The whole point is the ethical dilemma.
Yeah.
And what we're supposed to take from it too. I mean, isn't that the whole series?
Yeah, I mean, just like we discussed in episodes previous, like, even if they did make a vaccine, there's no guarantee that everyone would have gotten it. There's a very similar story in Fallout 3, where the whole point of you going to find your father and everything, yes, that is the thing of Fallout 3, and as well as the series, was that they were trying to create clean water that would be distributed free for everyone, and there were plenty of people who were like, no, it shouldn't be free for everyone, it should just be for us.
Profit.
And so exactly, so I fully believe the same thing would have happened, and would Ellie's death have then meant less because they're withholding this vaccine or this cure from everyone except the ones that they deem worthy, which I'm sure would just be a select few. It certainly wouldn't be for everybody.
On a whim.
So.
Exactly. Well, the last thing I want to talk about is all Jesse related, because he kind of mirrors his righteousness. He also says, okay, so like in the bookstore, he says, it mirrors what, I love how the scenes kind of mirror each other. Isaac tells Sergeant Park that you're entering this thing knowing that you're not. The likelihood of you surviving this campaign is very low.
Yeah.
And he says it's even lower for me, which again, this is something that hopefully they'll get into in the third season.
Oh, yeah.
But it immediately goes into the bookstore where Ellie is picking out the baby book, and he says, great choice. I would have picked that. You just beat me to it.
Yeah.
He didn't say that.
Right.
But I'm thinking
I
that,
should
actually.
have thought of that, yeah.
Yeah. So, but he says, this scene immediately mirrors the last. He says, maybe we'll all be dead.
Mm.
It's kind of like a foreshadowing for himself, but also for Ellie. Here's another roadblock to stop what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then the sniper radio, but this is after making radio silence, by the way. The WLF finally gets into their head. Let's not use the radio because somebody may be listening.
Yeah, let's not talk about it. Yeah,
Fear the Walking Dead. Come on, man. By the way, speaking about Fear the Walking Dead season 8, I love how that was listen, you can criticize season 8 all you want of Fear the Walking Dead, but one of the things that was hilarious was that Troy was able to find our gang in Fear the Walking Dead. Troy Otto was able to find our Fear the Walking Dead gang because the constant joke was that you're talking on the radio on an open channel. And it's been a constant thing throughout the series. And that, I felt like it was a nod to us because we kept talking about it. It was like, God, of course they
Right.
found you're talking on the radio on an open channel.
It was so easy. Yeah.
So this show does the same thing. Is like, they know. We keep being casual about it.
That does bring me, just quickly, I will mention,
Good.
because I said I don't know how Abby found them in the theater, if not for Ellie leaving the map, because she didn't in the series. They did make an awful good point of Jesse pointing out how he located them at the theater. He's like, it took 2 days. Maybe it wouldn't take as long for Abby because she is familiar with the area. Also, too, in the game, you turn on the power and the whole place is lit up. Like,
In the show,
no
too.
places, yeah, no places are lit up with lights and everything else. So it's like a beacon for, oh yeah, people are staying here. Like, I wonder if they're in the theater.
I can't believe
Like,
I had made a note of that. I don't know if it
Yeah.
was in my notes or like it was a mental note. I was like, why are you turning all these lights on? You should put
Yeah.
screens on the windows at the very least. Gosh.
I'm like, what? This is so obvious.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
But that's like apocalypse logic, right? You're not
Yeah.
really thinking about that.
nobody's around until somebody is, and then it's like, oh, like a moth to a flame. Like,
Yeah. Let me see. Jesse ends up being right. His decision made it so that he could be there for Ellie and Dean. So yeah, that's the thing. That's something I thought of when he was telling her about the love of his life and how he sacrificed being with her for the sake of his quote unquote family or community, right?
right? Yeah.
Like, oh, you're trying to be a better person than me. Blah, blah, blah. Well, puts it back in her face and says, had I not done that, I would have been here for you to get you out of this situation. And in a way, he continues that sacrifice by throwing himself in front of a bullet,
Yes.
you know, and
Unknowingly, I don't think he knew that was going to happen. But I mean,
course
he
not.
did run through those doors first with no caution at all. Like,
Right.
he blasted right through.
right, narratively, had Ellie ran through first, because he wouldn't have been there.
She would have gotten shot. Yep.
Exactly. So again, another roadblock, yet another roadblock that enabled her to, we don't know, actually, because that'll have to be the next season. So
Yeah.
if you like what you heard, head on over to ratethispodcast.com/Squawking Dead. Leave us 5 stars and I want to say book. I really like that book.
In a book. Yeah.
To tell it's all we need to know that you love us, but tell us what you like, tell us what you didn't like. Make sure to mention if you like the unedited version of this episode, because if you do, we'll do them. If you like the edited versions of these episodes, say that too. Either way is fine, but if we get 10 across all platforms, if we get 10 comments saying you want the unedited version of these episodes, I will do that from here on in. I will not do them if we don't get any feedback. I will not do them if we get feedback saying, no, I like the edited versions. Well, how dare you? I like the work you put into this. So make sure to weigh in. But remember to rate us anyway. Write a review, comments, anything. Like these things if there's a thing to like them with, especially on YouTube, after every single episode. And if you really like what you've heard, you could have tipped us on stream this entire time, and I forgot to say it again because I was rushing to get here on the recording studio. You could have tipped us on the stream this entire time, and your message, along with a GIF, would show up on the screen for the audience, as well as a robot voice, a female robot voice, so it's softer, would say your message out on this broadcast for everybody to hear. But you can also do that after the show. And when you do, you'll get forever access to our Discord. You'll get 30 days access to our unedited episode recordings, my pre-squawk insights, which is basically my notes on this, like the baby book. There's links in there too. There's links to the Soundgarden song that happens at the credits. It's the
Oh, yeah.
Burden in My Hand. Oh,
I know.
what a great song from a great,
Yes.
great album. Which, Follow Me Into the Desert, As Thirsty as You Are. Like, you'll go so far to get the thing that you want that you'll risk your life to get it. I think it's a story about addiction for some,
Yeah.
but still.
Still, I mean,
Yeah. Poster of Chris Cornell in the background from his solo album,
Yes.
his first solo album. It was called Euphoria Morning, 1999. What does 90s
I know.
mean? What does 90s mean, Karina? I don't know. We don't know.
I don't remember.
We have 60s, 70s, and 80s. No 90s. Shame. Rest in peace, Chris Cornell. And now I'm wondering if this episode aired the day Chris Cornell passed.
Oh, was it the anniversary?
I
of
think
that?
it was around this time in May.
Oh wow.
I would be interested to know that. And if you know,
Personal research.
let us know in the comments and ratings. I would really much appreciate having that when we actually publish this on podcast platforms. I can include it at the end when we do. Thank you very much. And also, take your support further. Join a membership tier. When you do, you'll get more access to our channels on our Discord. Again, forever access when you tip, but when you join a membership tier, you'll get more access to channels. Happen to join the Whisperers, Survivors, or Great M tier, you will get a free classic t-shirt upon signing up. Whisperers have to wait a little longer. And if you happen to join the Survivors or Great M tier, you will get to be in these episode breakdowns alongside us with your face, head, mouth mic, joining us on this journey like Karina here.
Yeah.
She's a special person. We're not charging her anything. We should pay her is the thing. Okay. After some of these brain dumps, because it's not easy being green, Kermit. But yeah, if you happen to join the Great M tier, the greatest this year, I don't blame you if you can't. But if you do, you'll be a junior producer and you can join you'll have access to our core channel, which means you will be a part of every backstage discussions we can't have on any of our public channels. If we get together to talk about things relating to development, you will be there because you have to be there, and we will make sure that you are there. And if you can't be there and you say, go on without us, we'll do that. But we won't do it unless you're there because you get to help us shape the course of this podcast. I've been here as David Cameo, and I was joined by Cosmom09, Rachel Burt, Sharon, a.k.a. Blazy Gardner, and Bridget. Wait, not and Bridget, because Karina's going next. You can find me on youtube.com/@punkybrewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETER, or ko-fi.com/punkybrewster. That's PUNKYBRUISETER.
And Karina at CARINAE_D on Instagram and at Karina Art on everything else.
That made me a little winded. It
was a lot, yeah.
Doing all the voice. And I'm Grover.
Oh gosh.
I'm so embarrassed.
Impressive Grover, though.
Thank you, News of One. You guys rock. Thank you, Sharon. I love you guys. I love you too. I'm so sad they weren't able to be here till the end, but
I know.
it's probably for the best because we'd be on for longer because brains.
Right.
We have too many cooks in the kitchen. In any case, I maybe have turned to see again. The podcast changes our minds a little bit. Maybe I'm a little bit more eager to see season 3 after having this conversation.
You should be.
It'll
grow on you.
I feel like I've healed a little bit from the disgust-ish
There you go.
bad feelings that I had in my tum-tum. So
Or
I can't.
was it because I was like, just get used to it because it gets worse?
A little bit of that too. It's all part of the sauce, this pot of stew that is bubbling currently that we're working on and eating. And it's great. And I love it. I love you guys. And I love you, Karina. And I love you, Rachel, Bridget, and Sharon D. And I really am happy that we got to do this together live for every single episode. And I hope you enjoyed it very, very much, audience. And I love for you to be on these episodes again. Again, when we are not in a live stream in the chat, please join our studios. Follow our Ko-fi or Patreon accounts so that you get notifications for when we're in studio again. So that you could join our closed sessions. You will not get that link if you follow us on social media. Although I really encourage you to do that because we don't post our Ko-fi stuff on social media, and we don't post our social media on our Ko-fi, but Ko-fi is the only place, or Ko-fi or Patreon, they're the only places that we do post our schedules. And when you follow, it's free. When you join us in the studio, it's free. We just keep it for the real ones who happen to follow there. You don't have to buy us a tip. You don't have to join a membership tier. When you follow, you'll get the stuff. That's all. Take care, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night for our breakdown of The Walking Dead Dead City. 4th episode, 2nd season. I don't know what it's called because I haven't watched it yet. Haven't taken notes. So we'll see you here this time tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.